And then let's go live on IG. Okay. There we go. Okay. All right. What's up, everybody?
What's up?
We in here.
Hey.
What's up, everybody?
Hey. I honestly thought you were talking to.
No, I was talking to him, but I'm talking to everybody.
Okay.
All right. What's up, everybody? Welcome to another session of the Kava podcast After Dark session, live out of San Francisco on this beautiful Saturday night. As you guys can see, we have some beautiful ladies here tonight, and we have another great topic for you guys to discuss. As always, I do appreciate you guys for tuning in. We have a great show planned for you guys, and if you always see value in the content, you guys already know what to do. The best way to support the channel is to smash that like and subscribe button real quick. Don't forget, a lot of you guys always ask me, how do I join in? How do I be part of the show? You're not from Cali, you're not from the conversation, but you're not from the Bay Area. The best way to do it is become a supporting member of my locals. The link is in the description below. You'll be able to get the public link to join in on the last part of the podcast if you want to have a conversation with us. But don't forget, if you do want to drop your, if you have a question or topic you do want to ask us, drop it through a super chat. I'll be able to respond to a lot of the questions or topics you guys want us to discuss. And of course, if you just want to donate to the channel, drop it, and I'll be able to give a shout out. And thank you so much for all the donations you guys always do to support the channel. But nevertheless, as always, don't forget, if you're watching this from other platforms, definitely come over to YouTube, so that way you can participate in the live chat. So, but thank you so much for always watching. Let's get the live chat popping. If you're watching this right now, let me know what you guys think on the live chat. And we're about to have a great show planned for you guys. And for all the ninja watchers out there, a lot of you guys be creeping on the channel, just watching without saying anything. If you're a ninja watcher, definitely come out tonight. I see Milagros. Hey, what's up, Milagros? Dark Lake Revived. Hey, what's up, Dark Lake? Good to see you guys already early in the live chat. I appreciate you guys for always tuning in. But say something on the live chat. If you're a moderator, let's get the live chat active. Let's get everybody to participate in the live chat and call out the ninja watchers and tell them to stop creeping and participate on the channel. So I see It Is What It Is TV. I never seen you here before, so shout out to you. It Is What It Is TV. First time seeing you on the live chat, so I appreciate you guys. We have a great topic to discuss, and shout out to you guys. But one more time, ladies, thank you for making the time. Shout out to you guys.
Thanks for having us.
All right. So we have a great show planned for you guys, and I'm excited for the topic that we're going to be discussing. So, ladies, I'll pass it back to you guys. If you guys don't mind, give yourself a quick intro for everybody out there. You guys are here for the first time, but go ahead.
Hi, everybody. So I'm Liz, and I definitely would say I identify as a Black woman. My age is 38 years old. I am a salon owner and a hairstylist here in San Francisco. I own Unicorn Salon. I've owned it for about 10 years, so that's what I do. My status is in a relationship with a great man. And what am I looking for? I mean, I guess you could ask him because he's got it. So.
Okay. All right. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Liz.
My name is Kay, and I'm mixed and Black. I'm a bunch of different races, but mostly Black and Filipino and Guamanian. I am 25. I'm a dancer and a part-time student. I actually just got a degree. And I would say what I look for is somebody who's going to make me feel safe with them, somebody who shares somewhat common goals or interests, someone who's family-oriented. Those are some of the most important things, I feel like. And yeah.
Are you single or in a relationship?
I'm single.
Single.
Yes.
Okay. Thank you so much. Okay.
All right. Well, my name is Shelby. I am white, but mostly Italian. I'm 24 years old. I'm currently unemployed due to some health circumstances. I was born with a kidney and liver disease. Long story. My relationship status, I'm currently single, but I am kind of talking to somebody.
Okay.
And what do I look for in a relationship? Probably just somebody who is grounded in their masculine, but able to access the feminine as well. I feel like that's really important, as well as good morals, good standards, and family oriented as well.
Okay. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
All right.
Hi, my name is Sam. I am Filipina. I am 24 years old. And right now I am transitioning between careers. I was a teacher and I'm transitioning into UI UX design. And currently I am single. Not quite sure if I'm actively looking, but I'm definitely looking for some sort of partnership, companionship. More specifically, someone who is compassionate, kind, understanding, and echoing what Kay said, someone that I can feel safe with emotionally and physically.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you so much. Shout out to the ladies one more time. All right. We got some beautiful ladies here from the Bay Area. Excited to have you guys. Thank you so much for making the time. But I see you guys on the live chat already coming strong. I see Lord Punisher in the live chat. Hey, what's up, Lord Punisher? Hey, Jane. Always good to see you on the live chat, Jane. And I do appreciate you guys. But let me know what you guys think. Don't forget, if you're tuning in for the first time, don't forget there is a way to jump on as a virtual guest if you do want to jump on to be part of the conversation. And this is for the fellas out there. I know a lot of you guys always come on here talking your ish on the live chat, but one thing I always encourage you guys, because sometimes these guys will come on the live chat and they will talk about you, especially when the single ladies on here. But I always encourage them, you guys will talk big on the live chat instead of coming on camera and having a real conversation. So a lot of men are afraid to approach. I'm a very big believer in approaching women respectfully, right? Don't hide from the back and expect to have her to notice you. So I think for a lot of guys out there, I always talk on the live chat. So don't forget, if you do want to have a conversation, if you do want to participate and have a conversation with us, to jump on and be part of it, the link is in the description below on the locals, and you'll be able to jump on and be part of the conversation. So, but do appreciate you guys. We have a great topic. But before we go right into the conversation, I'm going to have some Kava real quick. So you guys want to try some?
I'll take a little bit.
All right. Yeah.
I definitely do want to
All
try.
right. All right. And shout out to all the Kava drinkers out there. Shout out to you guys. All right. I'll give you guys a little bit. Give you guys a little bit to try it out.
Awesome.
Thank you.
All right.
Definitely want to be part of the ritual, the ceremony. You know what I mean? Do we say anything? Or-
Yes. So traditionally in my culture, right before we drink, we always raise our cups and then we offer some words of endearment towards each other out of love, and then we drink. So my words of endearment today relates to the topic. We're talking about, does your dating history matter? And one of the quotes I always think about, not only in relationships, but in life, the best predictor of the future is the past. So if you look at the past behaviors, it can indicate things we can learn from, so we can move on for a better future. So I just want to share that with you guys for some words of endearment and everybody on the live stream. So I'll pass it to you.
Self-love Saturday. Okay, love yourself, ladies.
Self-love Saturday. Okay.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Much love, blessings, and I wish good health and wealth on you guys.
Thank you. Okay.
Spread love and kindness, and I wish good health as well, because that shit's important. Let me tell you.
Seriously.
You deserve everything that your heart and mind and soul desires.
Aw, that's
Okay.
cute.
Okay.
All right, guys.
All right. And then just say Ofa.
Ofa.
Atu.
Off.
Ofa, y'all. All right. Wonderful love. All right.
Doesn't really have a taste.
What does it taste like?
It doesn't really taste like
Watered
much.
down chai.
Mm.
But
Like that was a perfect.
It tastes
Yeah.
earthy. It tastes earthy.
Yeah,
Very watery.
Yeah.
But there's like really, I don't really get a scent or anything.
Like
It's
mineral.
very
Yeah.
easy to drink.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I know everybody always asks on the stream, like, what does it taste like? I always tell them it's a unique taste. I can't relate it to anything else. You just gotta, well, maybe dirt.
Yeah.
You know, maybe if you
Almost like tea.
Earthy.
Mhm.
yeah.
Very earthy.
It is very earthy.
If you ever as a kid fell into mud and you drank some, I think that's
Yeah. Actually, yeah. Or like you got a little dirt in your mouth.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm like that.
I'm over here like, did I ever not have done this? Running the mud and falling in?
if you can reminisce back to your kids' childhood days, maybe you can get a understanding what it tastes like. But thank you so much as always. I appreciate you guys for always tuning in, and for all the Kava drinkers out there for always drinking Kava tonight. Make sure you guys go home to your wives. You guys be drinking Kava all night long. So, but do appreciate you guys. Thank you so much. We have a great show, and shout out to the live chat already. Thank you so much, Vin. I see you in the live chat. Prudy, I see you guys on the live chats. Good to have you guys on, and of course, I see you guys watching from the other platform. Definitely come over. Definitely come over to YouTube, and you guys definitely be able to participate on the live chat. And it's definitely not alcohol. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So, but let's go right into the topic we're going to be discussing, ladies, is does your dating history matter? Okay. So if you're looking for something long-term, if you're looking for a commitment, if you're looking for marriage, if you're looking for a great partner in relationship, if you're going to vet them out to make sure this is a perfect person for you, do you have to consider their dating history or the type of people they select or the type of relationships and behaviors they engage in their past relationships? So I think so, because that's why I said that quote. If you want to determine a great future, one of the best predictors is learning from the past, from the things that people failed on so we can improve and have a better future. That's why I always believe when it comes to life in general, I don't think, there's that term my coach would always say when I played sports, there's no such thing as losing. It's either you win or you learn, right? Because every single time we fail, we learn something about ourselves so we can improve, so that way we can eventually win in life. So I think it's the same way when it comes to relationships, but I would definitely like to hear what you guys have to say. But let me play the clip real quick. So this is the clip I saw online. We're going to react to it. You guys can tell me what you guys think. Have you guys ever heard of Tonight's Conversation online? It's a dating relationship content page. You know, they have a lot of conversations about dating relationships. And
Oh yeah, I've
Seen
that's
this
what I
guy?
was like.
yeah, okay.
For sure,
I
seen it
know
on
him.
TikTok.
Like I've seen him.
Yeah, you've seen him before. Yeah.
Okay.
So he was talking about the dating history. So I'm gonna play this clip real quick. And if you're watching this right now, let me know also when you guys react to the clip. I always want to hear what you guys think about the topic as well. I do appreciate your real, unfiltered, and raw feedback on the topic. But let's get right into it.
No qualified men or why do these one thing that I'll be peeping that be common is be having a resume full of bad relationships. Like ain't held the right down yet. And so what that tells me is your ability to choose is already sketchy, to say the least. So whatever grading system you got over there, you keep passing failing students. So I don't even think I need to f around over there for real.
For me, it's like everybody having a little epiphany.
You mean your whole little
What are you talking
relationship
about?
career, like all of it bad, bro? Because it gotta be a situation like that to where you don't have enough good to blanket all of somebody. You feel me? Like, bro, you really have to look at what has happened. And it's not to say that people didn't do you wrong, but you have to look at what's happened to you if you've been corrupted to the point that you have a bias that blankets all of the people that you claim you still want to attract.
Okay.
Well worded. Well worded.
All right.
Mm.
So that was the clip I saw online. The reaction to the faces was hilarious.
Yeah.
All right.
So they look exposed.
Yeah, it hit home.
There was the one lady with the glasses for me. She was like at her mouth.
She said, "Ain't no way."
All right. So
she was.
All
She's
right.
like, I thought I was coming to a talk
It's
show.
like when
I was
that
not
like
ready for
math
all this.
me.
Hey.
Yeah,
For all of a sudden
exactly.
you realize
Doing all
she
the
was going
calculations.
through that.
yeah, he was putting that accountability back on them. So, but I see Phil Jr. on the live chat. Hey, what's up, Phil Jr. Gas Mask? Good to see you guys on the live chat. But keep that live chat popping. But ladies, that was the clip. The topic we're going to be discussing. Does your dating history matter? And just to make sure we're on the same page, I want to ask you guys quick questions, real quick. Do you guys want a committed long-term relationship?
Yeah,
Yes, right? Yeah, eventually, right?
Yeah.
Do you guys want to get married?
I would be open to a long-term relationship, but I'm not like looking for that right now.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah. I mean, at some point in your life, you want something to settle down, eventually find a good man and a committed, long-term, healthy relationship.
Yeah, I'm
For
open
sure.
to it.
Whether that means I'm signing a little piece of paper or not.
Yeah.
I don't know about. Yeah, I wouldn't say that I'm looking to be married, but I am looking for a long term.
Yeah, long-term committed relationship.
Yeah.
I do understand when it comes to marriage, it can be different depending on, but I'm just talking about the long-term committed.
Commitment to another person.
Yeah, committed to one person. But if it's marriage for you, or you just want to be committed with somebody.
That's a discussion
Yeah,
for
yeah.
the future with
Okay,
the person.
all right.
Yeah.
All right. Okay. So we're on the same page. So if you, as a man or a woman, right, if you're looking for a committed, long-term, healthy relationship, I'm not talking about the toxic, cheating, unhealthy, abusive relationships, right? We're not talking about those. We're talking about the good, healthy, long-term, loving, faithful relationship. That's what I'm talking about. So if that's something that you want, especially in today's 2024 in the dating scene today, which is is rough out there in the streets, right? So if that's what you want, do you have to consider their past dating history, the type of relationships they've been into, the type of behaviors they engage in, and the type of people they're selecting? Do you have to consider their dating history if you want something long term? That's the question today. So I'd like to hear what you guys have to say. I'll start with you, Sam. What do you think? Does your dating history matter if you're looking for something long term, healthy, committed, faithful relationship? Go ahead.
Great question. I think it definitely does matter in the sense that, like, the people you date are a reflection of you in a sense. Like, I believe that you attract like what you are. And it's always really important to learn from the people that you did in the past. Like what did I like or what did I not like? What am I looking for? And it's not until you turn inwards and reflect on yourself and like your past relationships are able to heal things from the relationships and not bring those forward in your future relationships. I don't know if that made sense.
Yeah.
I'm a little nervous right now. So
Oh, you drink some more. Drink some more of this.
Yeah, I do.
Let's go.
You chill.
I'll give it some more. I'll give it some more. So, it's okay. It's okay. But thank you so much, Sam. Appreciate it. I'll pass it to you, Shelby. What do you think?
Piggying back off what Sam said with that people are a reflection of you, I think that goes for not only relationships just in general, but we're talking about relationships here. I do think that it's important to reflect on, when you're potentially entering a new relationship with somebody, looking at their past relationships, seeing, what it is, and tying into that quote that you said earlier with history.
Yeah.
History repeats itself.
Yes.
It's inevitable. So if you were coming to me and you've been in 5 or 6 relationships that have been toxic or, for a number of reasons, just repeating the same issues, then maybe I'm going to second guess entering a relationship. However, the other side of that, people are very complex. So I do think it is possible for somebody to make changes and grow and be in that change between leaving the toxic and entering positive. So maybe you could be that new person for that someone. I think that it really comes down to figuring out the person as an individual, because we are complex. And
All right. Thank you so much, Shelby. I'll pass it to you, Kay. Kay, what do you think? Go ahead.
I feel like it is important to consider somebody's history of dating, just for the simple fact it's important to look for patterns. So it's like, I feel like if I'm dating somebody, I might look at your history, but it's like, it's not to judge you. It's just like, if you have a pattern of like being abusive or not committing, it's like, I might want to look into that. Because if you have the same problem with 4 different women, I don't know how it's going to be any different for me. So I feel like it's important that aspect. But at the same time, it's also like, you could look at somebody's dating history and they could have been very promiscuous and they could end up being more committed with you, or it could be the opposite. You could meet somebody who had a very innocent past and they end up being promiscuous. Sometimes it's not spot on exact to judge off the past, but I think it's just important to take it into consideration to an extent. All
right. Thank you so much. Pass it to you, Liz. Liz, what do you think?
I feel like for me, if I'm going to be honest, just getting most people to be honest about their past dating is already going to be a task, right? Because everyone's coming in with that like glossy, like best version of themselves in the
even
beginning.
Open up about it.
Right. And so sometimes a person is so traumatized from where they just came from that before they're even going to start talking to you about that, they're already on the defensive. They're already looking at you like, where were you at? Oh, you were with that guy. What wasn't right about him? He kind of looks like me. He talks, so I would say, does it matter? I think it all matters about the person's mental state moving forward. I'm going to be honest. I'm going to say, no, I'm not going to probably care where they were in the past. The only rule I have is like, I'm not going to mess with you. I know people you've been with. And that's just my own thing. That's because Because other than that, it's like she said, it could go either way. And it's like she said, have you healed? Like all of them to combine it. But it's going to, for me, I'm going to say, no, I don't care about the past. I want to hear how you talk about that person. Are you in victim state every time you talk about the past? Or are you coming from places, I was kind of like this and they were kind of like that, and it didn't clash? Because that's what I'm going to be listening for. Not about what already happened, how you're interpreting you, because that's the only thing I'm caring about. So that's how I would feel about it personally.
Okay. All right. Thank you so much, Liz. Appreciate you guys. But yeah, let me know on the live chat. Keep it going. Let me know what you guys think. So we had a chance to go around the panel. Does anybody here want to respond to what somebody said? Agree, disagree?
I have to say I
Go ahead.
agree partially with what everybody said. I feel like it just all comes together in forming an opinion about the person that you're about to enter a relationship with. And it's a combination of things.
Okay.
I really agree with what Kay said though, because I've been like, I'm gonna date with this safe. Look, this looks safe. And then it's like
They'll get you.
Sometimes safe is looking for their first toxic moment. They're in that mental state
And what does safe
where
look like?
they got with
know?
someone else, and then all of a sudden their mental state wasn't right. You can look back and go, I didn't even like you. I didn't even think you were cute. What was I doing?
Right.
That's
That's been me a couple of times. Like, what was I even doing there? I just catch feeling that. I didn't. Okay.
She said, never mind.
She said, I'm gonna take the L. Literally. Anyone from Sacramento, you take that.
Damn. Sac City, huh? Rough out there in the streets, huh?
Even my cousin.
When it's that hot, they can't. They're a little delulu.
All right. Can I ask you guys a question? Have you guys ever been in a previous relationship where you heard something about their reputation or their history? It was negative, but you chose to ignore it and give it a chance. And how did that go?
I feel like everybody's done that before. Ignore the red flag.
Okay.
I feel like you're not living if you've never ignored a red flag. Like,
Okay.
I haven't been told, and I seen it coming. Like, and I was like, "Come on through."
It's not that
I got
somebody
it.
told me. It's more like I saw the red flag and I
Okay.
was like,
yeah.
I looked at all the other
You
flags.
trying to give him the benefit of the doubt. Like, you know what? He's a good guy.
I see you. I don't see that red flag.
The judgment. I'm not being judgmental.
God.
But yeah, I've never had someone directly come to me and be like, "That guy, 1, 2, 3," and then you go, "Okay, thanks for that information," and then go and be like, "What's up? How are you? What my name is?"
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't think I have let it. I don't know if that's something that's happening, so it'd be hard for me to gauge.
Okay.
Yeah, it's just, I don't think that. I do date, like I said, I try to date outside of my inner
circle.
because of that. Maybe that's a thing. Maybe that's why
good. That's healthy.
it helps prevent those bias. It helps prevent bias both ways, always, whatever, you know what I mean? It's worked for me.
All right. Sammy, wanted to share something?
Yeah, we've all ignored red flags. One of the last people I've dated, I've heard some red flags, and I always take it with a grain of salt, because I like to analyze it. Well, maybe this is a reflection of the person that just told me these red flags about this person. But also I'm going to keep that in mind and try to enter this relationship with an open mind and an open heart, and see if those, warnings add up to what I'm experiencing. But, I'm someone who always likes to, like Kay said, give someone the benefit of the doubt. But sometimes, I feel like I've been a little too kind or too open, and it ends up getting myself hurt. But, you live and you learn. So,
Yeah. All right. I do agree with what Kay said. And you said about patterns, right? Recognizing patterns, because, I'm very into psychology, and, I'm a psychology nerd, when it comes to that stuff. But I do believe we're creatures of habit. We have patterns, especially if we all have patterns in what we do in our daily lives, especially when it comes to relationships. And I think it's something you have to consider to see their patterns of behavior, because if they treated every single person in their past, what's not to stop them from treating you the exact same, right? Because It's just whatever it's relationships, it can be your physical health. You know how many times I've seen people say, you know, tomorrow I'm gonna start working out. All right. But their whole life, they've never worked out their entire life.
Yeah.
All right. But tomorrow I'm gonna do it. Tomorrow's gonna be the day.
Yeah.
You know, I know I'm gonna finally listen to you. I was like, yeah, I heard that a million times.
No, seriously.
I'll believe it when I see it.
Right.
Right. So when it comes to patterns, when it comes to habits, I think we all have habits that we do every single day. So I'm not saying that we can't change, but I'm just saying is if you happen to meet somebody for the first time and they've never shown that behavior, that pattern ever, and they're gonna do it miraculously with you.
Yeah.
And, you know, you have to be naive. You have to be naive to trust that when you haven't seen any body of work or evidence, right? So I do want to move it back to you guys. You guys said that you saw red flags. So can you guys name the top 3 red flags that you saw, or the consistency patterns of behaviors that you saw within the men that you were dating and you chose to ignore? But what are those top patterns for everybody that's watching? These are things you need to look out for.
So let me clarify real quick. The person I'm speaking of,
Yeah.
obviously not going to name names, but I was not actually dating them.
Okay.
We were just in like a very serious talking stage and like getting to the point where we were about to date. But he was just he would talk down about his family members around me, and like it almost seemed like he was venting, but the negativity that I drove from it was like very, very dark. So to a certain point that after a while I was like, that's not right. That's not venting. So I did end up breaking it off. But for the beginning talking stage, it didn't quite click in my mind how negative he was being when he was talking about his family members. And even when we would like be around his mom, he would be like yell at her or stuff like that. You know? And that's when it really was like, because that was I had met his mom and I was like, that's not cool. Because I have such a good connection with my mom. So I was like, I would never talk to my mom that way. So I was like, I don't think this is gonna work.
Yeah, when I get mad at my mom, I don't say nothing.
Yeah,
I definitely don't yell.
And then he got mad when we broke it off. So I was like, ooh,
That's
I'm
a valid
so glad.
deal breaker.
Yeah,
That is a valid deal breaker.
I'm so glad.
Because if you disrespect his family, if he's to have a family with you one day, he's gonna disrespect that family too. That's how I
like
feel.
a while ago.
I didn't know. I told my friends when I said, I don't like talking about to your mom like that in front of me, girl. She's like, but she's I was like, I don't know. That's a lot. You know, it is a lot. It feels like she said that's like, whoa.
Yeah, and I was younger at pretty young at the time. It was like
Right decision.
Okay.
in early college.
Yeah.
Red flag.
Yeah.
This is a joke.
We're ready.
Because I heard you say yelling at your mom. Was he white?
Yeah.
Oh, gosh.
You didn't have to ask.
You didn't have to ask that.
You really did not have to ask.
I had to
that.
ask. That's what I said. It's a joke.
And it's not even nothing.
Look,
I'm
Look, I've been to my white friend's house, and the way they talk to their mom, I'm like, oh, you shit.
Yeah.
I will never talk to my mom like
It is disrespect for sure.
that.
Harrison laughed and he said that. He did. He said, what you asking?
You know,
Everybody's
Hey,
they're sweating.
Was he white?
Hey.
I'm dead.
brown parents don't play.
No, they don't. I think that was the last boy I dated or talked to also.
Clearly her mama don't
Speaking
play
of, I'm like,
either.
now that I think about it.
Right, Shelby? Your mama don't play either.
Mm-mm.
And you know,
No.
your
Yeah.
family don't play either.
Yeah.
She's Italian.
Yeah, that's true. Okay, no worries. But I think that's very important, right? The way they treat their parents, you know, that shows you the type of respect they have for them, and that should be a deeper relationship. If their relationship with their parents should be a lot deeper with them compared to you, and that's how they treat the people they really have a true relationship with, and you guys just met. What happens if you guys start having a real relationship? Because you already see the example of the people he really treats that he really has a close relationship with.
Yeah.
So that's an indicator that something that might happen to you. So
Most
yeah.
definitely.
yeah, it's same thing for me when I see women the way they treat their dad or their mom. If they disrespect their mom and their dad, I'm like, no, that's something that I don't like.
Yeah.
All right, it's a red flag. But you talked about the way they treat their parents. That's it to you, Kay. What's a red flag that you saw, that a pattern of behavior? That's something you have to
I feel like
consider.
probably one of the red flags that I've ignored the most is like seeing little signs that the person's like a player or a womanizer, ladies man, whatever you want to call it. I've seen that multiple times and then been like, oh, well, you know, like he's single, he's young. I feel like I've like made a lot of excuses for that. So like I've definitely overlooked somebody being a player where it's like come on, he does everybody wrong he talks to. Like, what? You think he's not gonna hurt your feelings next? Like,
Yeah.
it's just, I don't know why I don't be using my head sometimes with that one. And then another red flag that I had, which I hate to say it because I don't feel like it's true for everybody, but I just feel like it's something to consider, is like men with kids. A lot of the time they're still messing with their baby moms and stuff.
Ooh.
Like, you know, a lot, not every single one. There's a lot of people out there that don't mess with their baby mom or baby dad. But at the same time, I dated a man with multiple kids, and definitely was like, it taught me a lot about men with kids. Like, you gotta be really careful with your feelings, because it's like, think about how much history they have if they have a kid.
Okay. I actually had a video we're going to react to. It's dating with men with kids. That relates to the topic.
Oh, I can't wait. I can't wait to speak on that one.
So we're definitely going to get into that. So, Harrison Davis just dropped a super chat. Hey, shout out to you, brother. Thank you so much. Said salute. I will probably be person number 3453 that thinks you sound like Abba from Abba and Preach. Oh, okay. Now people always tell me that. You guys know Abba and Preach on YouTube? They have a big platform. They're like 2 million subscribers. But a lot of people have been telling me online that I sound like Abba.
Okay.
One of the guys on that channel. So I can't see it, but a lot of people say from their side for there. But thank you so much, Harrison. I appreciate you guys. So you said womanizing, player, and men with kids is something that you have to consider.
Yes,
Yeah.
definitely something you need to consider. But I don't have like something that's not a deal breaker for me at all. Somebody to have kids. I just feel like it's important to consider.
You consider it, yeah.
Especially if the baby is young. If that baby is 1 year or less,
That's too soon.
just don't even let your feelings of that.
Freshly
shit.
born, yeah.
Yeah.
Also, the baby's so cute, so you get wrapped up. You gotta watch.
Yeah, and then they be a good dad. You be like, damn.
Okay,
Yeah.
so that baby is cute. It's all right, but that baby ain't
No,
cute.
it's not all right, but the baby being cute gets you wrapped in more. Like the baby,
Yeah.
Well, yeah. Your maternal instinct
all
starts to
these
kick
things
in.
that
Yeah.
there's all these green flags, but then there's like all this, also this like,
Yeah, you're like,
so
okay.
y'all gonna go to your mama together? All
Like, why did somebody just call you
You
6
and her and
times?
the
You're trying to
baby.
ignore it. Like, I should have known.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
I should have known something was like
diaper. Not for
exactly. Oh, y'all co-parenting, right?
Okay. So when you said about the player womanizing, was that something you heard from other people or something that you saw?
It was both. I had this red flag with more than one situation. I've dealt with that red flag like seriously like 3 or 4 times with 3 or 4 different people. I've had it both ways though. I've had like people try to like come tell me stuff, but I feel like it's usually the stuff that I catch by myself.
Okay.
It's more like, you know, like you found out somebody that they dated. She's like, fuck him, he treated me hella wrong. Like, you know, like little stuff like that.
Oh, you ran into their exes?
Or just seeing, you know, like there's like a lot of like pain in their past. Like a lot of the women, it's not like there's like a lot of women who are like, oh, well, he was a good guy, it just didn't work out. No, instead it's like every girl he talked to was like, fuck him, he's gonna do you the same way. Like it's like, oh goodness, like every situation you had ended bad on bad terms.
Yeah.
That's kind of making me scared going into it, you know?
Do you this is a question I want to ask all you guys on the panel. Do you want to know who's the ex of the person you're dating?
No. Hell
I
no.
want to know or like hang out.
Because I know a lot of women would do their own, like, well, even though he won't tell you, but you go and look
No.
or research. A lot of women would do that. Like, do you do that just to see?
No.
No.
If I find it, it's gonna be hard not to like. I'll sit there and be real. If I find out that's like their ex, it's gonna be really hard not to just look at your Instagram.
I'm not gonna go looking for it.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
if you make it like obvious in some, which I can't think of a way that you would, but if you
Okay.
made it obvious in
Yeah.
some way and I found it, then sure, then I'd look.
Okay.
Yeah.
But if everything's going good with
But I'm not
somebody,
gonna go search
Oh,
for
okay.
it.
yeah,
Oh.
exactly. If I just start
I can
dating
search
somebody,
for
I'm not
problems.
looking for your ex.
Yeah.
I
Absolutely
think
not.
this is another topic.
No, I just know it's something.
Are you
I've
okay
heard-
with being friends with if you're, person's
No,
friends with their ex?
No, I don't believe that you can be
Oh
friends with your
no.
ex. No.
That's just inappropriate. I feel
Yeah,
like.
yeah. For me,
I feel just like so awful right now that I just like went to support like my ex's new girlfriend at his girlfriend at her first show. But our cat got fixed, so my boyfriend couldn't come because he's like, so I went. And I guess maybe it all depends on what you call an ex, right? Someone it didn't work out with, but you're still honest with your partners that you guys still at one point explored a connection, but but then you guys became friends. So I'm always honest with who I'm dating. If anyone around them that they're going to be near around, I'm going to tell them before they're around them, like, by the way, there was past here, because I feel like they're going to feel that anyways. So why ever deny that? But nothing was there. We're just friends now.
Yeah.
I think it's hard. Now that I'm hearing all you guys say, I think it's hard for him, but he expresses it.
Mm-hmm.
He talks about his feelings, and then he like expresses his boundaries. Like, I'd like you to come home, like not super late.
Right.
You know.
Yeah.
So and then
just
that's
to
fine.
clarify,
Mhm.
you went to see one of your exes? Or?
Yeah. So so I was poly,
Uh-huh.
and so
Oh, that
poly,
makes okay. That's different. Yeah.
you know, but I'm in a monogamous relationship right
Okay.
now. But you know, we tried out, but that didn't work out. But I loved his stable partner. Me and her, like, really cool. Me and him are like brother. Like, we just had a friendship.
Right.
That's what we decided. And yeah, we kept our friendship. And then I met my boyfriend, and I was like, you I mean, he's my friend. But like, also, let me tell you this.
Yeah.
So yeah. Yeah.
So I don't think it's fair to really make rules when it comes to that, because relationships with people are so complicated, and there's so many different types of relationships.
Yeah.
Specifically for you, since you're poly,
Yeah,
you
yeah,
have
it's different.
this friendship that was there before.
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
And
So it's
also,
like,
you
you
can't
can't
expect
expect
to
to
that
end a-
level.
yeah, you
You
can't
know,
expect to,
there's
like,
no
end a friendship.
boyfriends who I almost married around.
Right.
If that makes sense.
Right.
There's not even people who I was like severely intimate with.
Yeah.
Around. This is a person who it didn't get there, but I still need to be honest.
Yeah.
And say that, you know, we explored it. But I guess, like, no, you know, like, I'm like looking at all you guys are laughing and I'm like,
No,
I feel like
is
it's
there
not
Is
impossible.
there anything to negotiate?
I should have led with your poly.
I don't feel like it's impossible. I feel
It's
like
hard,
it depends on
huh?
the situation.
It's
Like,
the
some
person,
exes
maybe.
could be
It's the
feeling
person,
friends.
very- for
I
sure
feel like
There's-
I'm
there's only-
nurturing to it.
Yeah.
I feel like I'm not like, you need to.
And it's also about communication and making sure that you're hearing your partner out that you're in a relationship with. You know, like
I
he
think
said,
about him
when
and his
he's-
emotions.
when he's saying like, "Oh, I'm uncomfortable now. Can you come home or whatever?" Then babe, I'm away. Like,
Well,
or
it's
whatever.
funny
Just
because it
like
was the
have
first
that
time he
conversation.
couldn't be somewhere,
Mm-hmm.
and I actually felt that where I was like, I wish he was here. You know, this is not the same without him here.
Yeah.
Right.
Not like I don't do things without him.
Right.
I
Just
think-
for that moment,
yeah.
but yeah.
I think your situation is a little bit different because they're poly, but I think if you want a monogamous relationship, a healthy, committed one, I think the only time it's reasonable for me, they still have friends with their ex if you have kids with that person.
Oh yeah.
They're going
Right.
off. in
Yeah,
the
because
Yes,
you
you
don't have
have
a
to.
choice.
Yeah,
don't
you have
a
to.
choice.
So they have to have a relationship with their previous baby mama or baby daddy because of the kid, right?
Yeah.
So you got to have some kind of baseline of a relationship. But if you both don't have kids, I think if you're looking for something committed, I think you can't be friends. And when I say can't be friends, I'm not saying in a bad way. I'm just saying, look, we tried something, it didn't work out. I wish the best for you. I wish you happiness, success, but I got to move on to the next phase of my life. But I think if you're still being friends with somebody, it doesn't make sense. Especially if you're already dating somebody already and having a relationship with them and still talking to your ex, I think there's a part of you that's trying to keep that door open. And just in case this doesn't work out, I'm gonna go back to my ex.
Or
So-
even if
I
it's
would
not
never
that,
want
you're
that.
still
Yeah.
holding on to that old energy.
That's what I'm saying. So
Yeah.
if you want something new, then you have to cut it off
Mhm.
and build something, especially out of respect to the other person, because they're giving you their full commitment and time and energy, but you're splitting that part of you with the other person. I think
Yeah.
if somebody says, I'm still talking to my ex, we're just still friends, I think it's something you have to consider as a red
Most
flag.
people are gonna raise an eyebrow
Yeah.
with that, but
Yeah,
you
even
know.
with my friend, like with his new girlfriend, she was like, but then once she met me, and then they were like, oh, okay. And then even when I showed up, they're like, where's all? I was like, you can't make it. They're like, oh, because first you have to meet people
Yeah.
and really feel their energy out
Figure out who they
and
are,
see
what
like,
they're about.
how are they like acting? Are they acting like there's weird feelings? What are the kind of things they're saying? Are they
Jealousy,
saying things like,
Envious.
remember
Yeah.
when?
Yeah.
Remember
no,
that
seriously.
one time when we did this? Like, no, we
Yeah.
don't really talk
Or if they're all
like that
touchy feely.
because we're actually friends. We don't need to remember when.
Yeah.
I'll see you in a couple. Right? Touchy feely. That's
But that hair,
a
no,
weird
okay, we don't
one.
need to remember.
That is weird when they're constantly touching even their arm a lot.
Yeah.
But to
You
go
have
back to the
fun.
like,
Because-
the
because-
baby mama. Daddy.
Yeah, that's normal.
Because I have a child, right?
Yeah.
And I have a baby, and I think it does matter how I would behave when his dad would date other women. Like they would come and knock on the door and be like, "Hey," I'd be like, "Come on in. How are you?" Like to make it very, very clear. There's no relationship between me. It's cute. It's cute.
Yeah.
But like I would
You
make
wouldn't
it very
know
clear, and I
what
would
to
talk to them.
Yeah.
They could come to the house and knock on the, you know, and I
Yeah,
just
no, I understand your
did
situation,
everything I
right?
could
But-
to make sure they knew that me and the dad were not.
Yeah. No, that's understandable. But I'm saying for the kids, you have to do that. But I'm
Yeah.
saying is if you're both single, no kids,
Yeah.
why are you still talking to your ex? Like, doesn't make sense.
Holding on to old energy.
Like, why are you still talking to your ex? And I think for me, one of the big flags for me to indicate, okay, you like toxicity, is when their ex did them wrong, and they still
Yeah.
talking to them as friends.
I was gonna say mentality.
That's for me. That's how I know. Oh, you like toxic relationships because he cheated on you, or he abused you, or he did you wrong, but you still want to keep that friendship open. That doesn't make sense.
That's for
Weird.
relationship
Yeah,
or
you're
friendship.
right.
Yeah,
If
yeah.
you are coming to me
the
and talking
friendship
shit
too.
and you're still friends with them,
Yeah.
or you're still
Yeah.
hanging out with them. I see you on the story the
Yeah,
next day.
yeah.
I'm like,
You're toxic.
You can't trust them.
Yeah.
You can't trust that.
So that's
You're
why, yeah,
100% right
Mhm.
there.
yeah.
yes.
But yeah, thank you. That's a great sign. Thank you for bringing that up. Okay.
That's crazy.
All right. If you're everybody out there in the live chat, if you're still talking to your ex, you're toxic as hell.
Stop that shit.
All right. Thank you so much. I'll pass it to you, Liz. You know, we talking about red flags, right? What are red flags in their past or past behaviors that you consider something that you have to worry, consider?
I feel like I'm bad with this because I feel like sometimes I thought that red flags I would see, it turns out I was wrong. They were beige. And then things I thought were green, they would turn red. I guess let me think of one that's just like so obvious. I think one that's obvious is if you're hanging out with a person and they look like they're trying to put their chip in with everyone and who eats it. I think that's what, does that make sense? Like you meet a person or a group of people and the guy looks like maybe he's trying to like be cute with every single person and not really like pick one of you guys, you know, like not really make it clear that maybe
He's friendly with everybody.
like everybody, and then all of a sudden you all leave, but maybe none of you guys are chatting. Everybody's got his number though. Everybody's texting him. Nobody realizes that he was like so cool and so sly. I feel like that's a red flag. Basically, a guy who's like everybody's friend, and then all of a sudden everybody finds
Too
out.
friendly.
He's
Mhm.
too friendly, right? He's too cool. He's too chill. Everyone thinks it's cool. There seems like a super green flag. Sometimes the super green flag is the biggest red flag ever. He's the one who's made it. He's been so honest to the point where he's not abusive, but it was manipulative because somehow he's now hit you and all your friends, and none of y'all knew, but none of y'all but also what?
Okay, I'm
Right.
I'm kind of confused.
Exactly, it is
So-
confusing.
so
So
it's-
basically,
No, so the guy's just friends with everybody.
he's just so cool,
Okay, so
Like,
cool,
so
everybody, so
nice.
nice, everybody.
very friendly. Everybody likes him.
But he's not. But he's not talking romantically to anybody.
No, he's not.
Okay.
He's being very vague with everybody, being like, "Oh, I just want to chill," but nobody knows. They're all chilling in the same room, and you guys don't even know what's happening until like maybe a little bit of the beans spill, and then all of a sudden you're still trying to play it cool because you don't want to look dumb because none of y'all are his girlfriend. I can't explain, but basically that super nice guy. I see you.
Well, okay. So I
He's
was.
so suave. He comes in and so he's opening the door for everybody, telling everybody they're beautiful. Like all women, always sounds like he's woman positive. Always just a full front, like the full fake facade. I just had someone like I'm telling you, talking about he was in his feminine divine. You know what I mean? And like women need to be respected. They need to be able to do whatever they want with their bodies. But then when you really listen to some of the stuff they'll say when you're in private, then you hear their real opinion.
It's like
And
the
you'll hear
exact
their real
opposite.
sign. And then when it actually
Okay.
comes to something emotional happening,
Like they're playing a part.
they're playing a part. And then then you see their true color. It's like I don't want to say that word because it's just thrown around. But basically, yes, they're
So he had
it's like a false
Oh,
prophet.
yeah. So he had a
I call
persona.
it, it's like a false prophet person. Like everyone to the point where if you told anybody that something happened, they would have a hard time
Yeah.
believing you that he did it.
So he had a great public persona, but then when he
They
found
just have
out,
no like they're just so nice. It's too cool. You're too cool.
Too good to be true.
You're too cool. You have no reaction to what just happened. You just no phase. No, that's too cool. You're hiding something.
so you found, but you've heard something from other people in private?
No, I found out personally behind closed doors that he was a fake.
But
Oh.
because
He was a-
everybody
Like Black
understands
Lives
his
Matter,
persona
you know,
as being,
he's
a
he's
perfect
like,
person.
you know, very white, but he's like Black Lives Matter. He's what, you know, he's walking the talk, he's walking, but then you get him alone, you actually realize, oh, okay.
Oh yeah. Well, I
I
just,
see who
I just
you
don't
are.
want to confuse that with because I do
Yeah.
know guys that are there are good guys out there, just friends with
course.
everybody, treats everybody respectfully.
Yeah,
That's why I said if it's
But it gets fake. You can really see it when it's really fake, right? Like when you're like, okay, he's not that good of a guy. I hate to say it that way, but like there's
No.
good people, good
yeah,
humans,
yeah.
and then there's a guy who's looking to make everybody look at him like he's a good guy. Like every perspective, he's never, ever, ever on the end of any opposition. You know, it's too much. And when I say that, I'm not saying like a good person, like a good
Yeah.
human. He's making sure you see that he's a good guy. You see it. It's not like you just know it from his energy. You have to see stuff. He's like, let me get the flowers, let me do the things. But then no, I feel like that's just like the biggest red flag that I've experienced myself. A guy who in front of everybody and everything looks perfect, feels perfect. It seems like it's a perfect match. They even fit you, whatever you thought. But then that's usually the biggest red flag for me, because as soon as you get behind closed doors, there's this whole other person that nobody knows about or deals with.
Yeah.
And yeah. So
Okay.
yeah, the fake nice guy.
Yeah. It just sounds like it's somebody just putting up a front, and then later on you find out later. Okay, that makes sense. I just wanted to ask because there are good guys out there, but that's why I always ask. It depends on his purpose, because I know some guys that are good friends with everybody or good friends with all the women, but then sometimes you will see something like he's taking certain women to spending more time with certain women, and I know how men think. Like if he's taking women or spending time with you, there's a purpose behind it. You know, we don't just take you out for friendship.
Right.
Yeah, we're gonna go on a date just as friends. You know, we're going on a trip just as friends. It's like, nah,
Yeah.
get out of here, get out of here.
That's
All right.
a different red.
There you go. So
No
yeah,
public,
okay.
no public appearances.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. So yeah, if the guy's just being a good guy, but I think for me is if he's doing stuff that you would do in dating with women, all women, but just say I'm still friends. I'm just doing this because I'm a good guy, but this is things you would do naturally on a date or a relationship. That's for me. Okay, he's full of shit.
Yeah.
All right, but if he's just a good guy to everybody, but he doesn't do things he would do on a dating or relationship, if he doesn't cross that line, then I'll be, okay, that makes sense to me. Okay. All right. So Sam, did you say what's the top red flags?
Oh, I'd say how they talk about other people.
Okay.
Like, for example, I was once talking with someone and he would talk about how he had a falling out with this person and this person and this person. And then I was like, wow, it seems like it's all like that person. And that's like why your friendship or relationship ended. And then I realized like, well, it seems like he's the common denominator here. So what's going on?
That's true.
And then I realized, well, wow, this could totally just happen to me. And it did. Like, just kind of blame things on me. And I'm like, it's a two-way street. Like, you know, not one person's right, one person's wrong. It's like more complex and nuanced than that. But yeah, how people talk about other people just says a lot.
I think one of the biggest red flags for me is if they talk negatively about their past relationships or their ex. Because for me, it shows me that you haven't really taken accountability to move on. We can't control the past. It is. But if they're spending so much time talking about the past, it shows me that they're still looking back in the past. They're still living in the past instead of moving on to learn from what happened before until you move on to the new relationship. And also for me, it's something I consider, if you're talking shit about somebody, and especially if it's because we don't know if it's true or not, because sometimes people would just lie about their past, right, just to make themselves feel better. Something I have to consider. Okay, what happens if I date you and it doesn't work out? Are you gonna do the same thing with me? Are you gonna go out there on a tour and just tell everybody how bad of a man I am, and try to exaggerate that I did all these things? Sometimes, especially if you're still hurt, people would exaggerate and add on certain things that necessarily isn't true. So that thing for me, if they're talking about their ex excessively and they're talking about their ex in a negative way, I think that's something to consider, because if your relationship with them doesn't work, they're gonna do the exact same thing to you. Yeah. So for me, what's attractive to somebody, by asking about if they talk about their past, you know what, it just didn't work out, it didn't happen, I just wish the best for her, and we just moved on. that shows me, okay, some maturity. And that shows me that they've actually learned from the previous, that they're ready to move on. And I can trust that a lot more than somebody just blaming everything about their past and their partner, because we all know it's a two-way street. Because you have to do something wrong in a relationship as well. It's not only that one person. But if you're talking about the other person, but you're not talking about anything about yourself, that shows me a lack of accountability from your end.
I agree with that too. Like, I feel like if I'm talking to a guy, even if he had a really bad situation with a female, I respect him a lot more if he's like, you know, it didn't work out, we went our separate ways. Like, he's talking about it with respect, like, rather than him being like, that bitch was crazy. Like, then it's like, okay, I know.
Yeah.
Like, you're not very respectful when you get into it with somebody right there. It's like, no matter how bad it is, like, you know, and that could go for anything. Like, I've even seen that with people with their parents, like fuck my mom, I don't fuck with her. Like, that's dude, even if it really went wrong, whatever your mom did too, I'm sorry about that, but it's like, you should just be like, I don't really talk to my mom anymore. That shows a lot about you.
Maturity.
I'm like, this fucking period. I'm about to take this shit out. I keep trying because it's so cute.
I was like, I have some earring back.
Oh my God.
They're so cute.
Oh, hey, girl.
Because I do understand, because at the end of the day, it's a two-way street. You know, there's no way you were perfect and then all the problem was on them. So that's why for me, when I hear somebody just talk negatively about that person, it's one-sided. And I know for a fact, like, you never talked about yourself, so you're just putting everything on them. So you're the type of person that likes to victim blame, but never take accountability for yourself. So for me, when somebody says, you know what, I'm not going to say anything about my past relationship, it just didn't work out, that shows accountability.
Yeah, that's big. That's big to show, even if it ended really sour, they still are trying to talk with respect. That shows a lot about a person's character.
Their character and their personality.
Do you think later in the relationship, when you guys are like closer and maybe, you know, because maybe this is happening and like there's like a trauma trigger, or would you be ready to hear more if it was like, if it was starting to leak in, like maybe something happened that from that past relationship, right? Clearly you're totally different than this person she did. That was the initial response, right? Was that's in the past, that's done. But then maybe you're moving down, now you guys are getting closer.
Yeah.
And they're having like an emotional like trigger from that past thing. Are you going to be able to, how would you handle that then, do you think?
For me, it depends. It depends on the person. So for me I do understand that some relationships can be traumatic. There's some relationships can be abusive, not only mental, but also physically, right? So the thing for me is, if I come into a relationship and she talks about her trauma, her mental, the physical abuse.
But she doesn't. So that's what I'm saying. So in the beginning, she's feeling healed.
Yeah.
She's coming in healed. There, you know, and they're saying, like you said, they're like, that's fine, I'm done with that. And they are.
Yeah.
But then as you guys start to develop, something happens and then they are having an emotional time. Are you ready to be there for them?
No.
Then separately from their ex, but this emotional pain that they're still trying to get through. How do you handle that part, do you think?
So for me I do understand everybody has trauma, and I think when it comes, especially in maybe the beginning, the tolerance for me in the beginning is going to be low, because I don't really know you like that.
Yeah.
So if you try to just trauma dump on me right now, and
like, just get back together with him, girl. Damn.
Right. So I was like, you need a therapist. Okay. not a boyfriend. You need some help. Okay. All right. But if you're trying to trauma dump on me early in the relationship, I don't even know you like that. I think for me that's a red flag. But I think if people are taking accountability for their traumas, but then maybe we become more intimate, we start to date, we start to get to know each other over long periods of time, and then we start sharing about things about ourselves and our past. I think that's normal. But I think we all have problems and issues, but I think it's unfair if you have issues and traumas, but you're expecting the other person to fix it. The only person responsible for your happiness is yourself,
Absolutely.
not your partner. So you should both come into a relationship already happy, but it's an unfair deal that if you expecting the other person to make you happy, it's unfair for them, because nobody can make you happy by yourself.
Yeah,
That's just abuse.
And then,
Totally.
So, but in early stages, I think I won't be able to tolerate it, but I think as relationship blossoms, we start to love each other, we start to get to know each other, then I get to know more about you. But that's what for me, the accountability is the big for me, because I can talk about my past, but I already owned it already.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna put that on my partner. put that blame on my partner to fix something that happened to me. I think that's unfair.
When you get close to somebody, I feel like it is important for you guys to like express triggers, because like, what if they do something that bothers you that made you feel triggered, like how you felt in the past? It's important to express stuff like that, but it's important to not dwell on stuff like that either. Because with the new person, if you're sitting there always talking about your ex, it's like, how do you expect that not to bother the person you're currently with, you know? But it's important to express your triggers, because that's literally like telling somebody how to love you, what you don't like, what you do like.
I feel like
you gotta
everybody
say
who
your
blue face is in a relationship.
Oh,
is sitting there listening, talking about his ex.
Yeah, that's true.
Like I wonder about like how unfortunate is that, like, to be so famous that whoever you date next, like they're always gonna feel it's gonna be like, oh, that's gotta be so stressful.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Mm-hmm. What do you think of it like that?
You want to say something, Sam?
I was just gonna say, like, I think of like after you end a relationship, you need to heal yourself first. But there's only so much healing you can do by yourself before you go with someone that like also highlights the further healing you need to do within a relationship, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
And when you're with that new partner, it's a matter of like being there to support them while they're healing through these triggers.
Okay.
But of course, like you can only heal yourself. Like your partner can't do it for you. But
Okay.
that's just
All
my
right.
2 cents.
Appreciate that. Thank you so much. I have a question I want to ask you guys, because you guys talked about red flags or patterns of behavior that you saw with men, but you chose to overlook it. Even though there was deep down inside, you knew that this is probably not gonna work out, but you still did it anyway. What was the reason why you chose to overlook the red flag? Like, what was the reason why? When you saw the red flags, you knew it was a red flag, but you just wanted, you know what, let me just try to hope this works.
He was fine.
He was fine?
Damn.
He was fine.
So fine. He was like,
So the guy's fine. You
I'm
fine.
done.
That boy looks so
Hey,
good from
let's
the
get-
moment from Dilly. I'm from
hey, let's keep it
That's
100,
fine.
right? Let's keep it 100 tonight.
That's one it.
So the guy's
You're not wrong.
so the guy's
that's
fine.
One reason. That's one reason.
Yeah, that's
Well, for me,
was
it's
different.
more so. I'm not gonna lie, I've done that. I've been there, done that. I'm not gonna lie, but at the same time, I feel like for me, it's way more. It's completely based off emotions. Like I know that he's a player and all that. That's logic, right?
Yeah.
That would be a smart decision. Leave him alone. When I really like somebody, I'm like, damn, I like you so much. I kind of don't care. Like I still want to explore this, even though I know I'm probably gonna get hurt. But it's so hard for me not to, because you have so many other traits that I want, that I like, that I'm attracted to. Like that can make it very hard for me. Like if I feel like your good side might outweigh the bad, it's kind of hard not to overlook.
What are those attractive traits?
Attractive traits?
What?
I would say
Yeah.
like dominance, confidence,
Confidence.
humor. I'm big on humor. If you can make me laugh, that's kind of like the key to my heart.
kryptonite.
Yeah, definitely masculinity.
Masculinity.
I like a manly man. So yeah.
Okay.
Like,
What about the physical part? Like, was he tall? Was he in shape? Did he had a good aesthetic?
I
Handsome?
like tall usually, which is ridiculous because I'm like a midget damn near. So I'm like,
Mm.
but I love tall. I would
So when you
say
say masculine,
What's
you
your-
mean like muscular specifically?
not even. You can be a masculine man if you have a bird chest. You know, like
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
like yes.
So you just want him to be like.
I mean,
dominant.
like,
To
in
me,
shape.
manly is like how you act. Like if you have kids, you take care of them without anybody having to like pressure you to do it. You have a girlfriend, you have the girl you're seeing. No one should have to pressure you to do nice things for her.
Okay.
You should be working, you know. I feel like no one should have to pressure you like you're a kid. You should just handle all your responsibilities, you know.
Independent.
Have somewhat of a stable mindset. Like, yeah, those are all things that make a man to me.
Okay, so the guy's tall, handsome, dominant, confident, humor, masculine.
It's
That-
hard not to overlook that you a player. Damn,
Yeah,
you got so much going on. It's hard, but it's
Okay,
like, but
so
it's like you
it'd be
gotta-
hard to overlook all those red flags if he has all those characteristics. Yeah.
Sometimes I feel like it's hard for me to not overlook the bad side. If the good side is this damn big, it's hard for me to like not overlook this little detail. But then me doing that has got me hurt so many times. It's like, okay, I have to learn from my
Okay.
experiences. No more players. No more players.
the,
It's hard.
what's-
I gotta look at myself in the mirror like no more.
What's the tallest you ever dated?
The tallest guy I ever dated was 6'6".
What's
And I'm
the-
4'11", so
That's
this was,
tall.
Okay.
oh girl, I'm about to take this shit out.
That's
Ooh.
not.
Yeah, 6'6". Yeah, he was the tallest guy I ever dated. Oh
Okay.
my
And
god.
what's the shortest?
The shortest. I haven't really dated a lot of short guys like that, and
So they're all tall. So they're all tall.
Probably like, yeah, I'm
Would
like,
you date a short guy? Like, what's the shortest you would date if he had all the other characteristics?
I would say the shortest I would probably date is like probably like 5'6", 5'7" ish. Because to me, I'm so short. It's like, okay, you still got about
As long as you're
7,
taller
8
than me,
inches.
I feel you.
But if I feel like
If
if I like instantly know he's short, it's like there's a problem because I am 4'11". If I'm saying you're short, you must be like 5'3" or
Yeah.
5'4". I don't want to because I went on a date with a short man before and we were getting treated like little kids. Like, oh, you guys are so cute. Like, I'm like, dude, I'm not about to. I'm not about. I was like, I'm not doing this shit again. Just to believe I'm not doing it.
Okay.
Yes. Yes, it made it worse. It was a Universal Studios, and it's like a character.
Girl, was Universal Studios.
Oh my god.
Oh,
Out here looking like a damn
So
kid.
you-
Like,
But that's where it emphasized. Let her really realize what she would look like out in them streets.
Okay.
She's like, no.
All right. Okay. Now, yeah, for you, like, what was the reason why you overlooked the red flags?
So I haven't had like a ton of relationships in my past. It's been
Yeah.
mostly talking stuff, but just
He's fine. That's it.
fine, or the time and the place. I feel like in my past, I'm not talking currently, but in my past, I was not in a place mentally where I was like looking for a committed relationship. Like I was young, I'm like, I had the mindset of I just want to experience life. And I feel like that's okay for people at whatever point in their life, if that's what they want. So I was just at that point. So I was, willing to look over those red flags to kind of see, to just experience the different types of relationships that the world had to offer. And I feel like that's how we learn what we like and what we don't like. And so that's why like now I'm like able to say that I'm ready to go and look for like, a relationship if I wanted to. And like, I would know what I want, what I don't want now because I did all of that. I looked over those red flags in the past, made those mistakes, moved on, and I grew from them.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, fair enough. Thank you so much.
Yeah. I feel like if you're using it as like a healing opportunity.
Okay. And Sam, the same thing. Like, what was the reason why you saw the red flags that you just chose to overlook it?
Honestly, I think at the root of it probably stemmed from a lack of self-worth or low self-esteem.
Okay.
And I mean, I feel like I'm more keen on like paying attention to the red flags nowadays than I was maybe like a few years ago. But yeah, just now I'm just like trying to have an abundance mindset rather than a scarcity mindset with someone. So if someone shows me the red flags, I'm like, oh, but there's all this and that like I really like about them, I'm like, no, cutting this off will be like a great investment for me and my future self. It'll save me so much.
Amen, girl.
And also,
yourself.
like, I will also be like that much closer to finding to someone who I'm truly meant to be compatible with.
Right.
That was beautifully worded.
Okay.
She
All
said
right.
that really good.
All right, I'll pass it to you, Liz. Same thing. When you saw the red flags, you chose. Well, you said fine as hell, right?
I said that. But like
Fine as hell, right?
I guess another thing that maybe made me pass it sometimes too is the mystery. I know that sounds weird, but like a guy like maybe had some red flags, but I was curious, and so I still like a little dumb. Went ahead and tried it out, and I found out real quick, like, no, the flag was flagging.
The flag
Okay.
was flagging.
Flagging.
Oh,
It
okay.
was not mysterious
Sometime.
and interesting. It was just flag.
So the guy's just mysterious.
Sometimes, yeah, maybe you hear something, or they like look real good, and you're just curious, and then you're like, oh my god, that was awful.
Oh, okay.
The red flag it was wow. Yeah,
All right.
I'll leave that there.
All right. Thank you so much, ladies. I have to ask this because Kay brought it up and the chat brought it up. If a guy has a bird chest, is that a red flag?
What is
What
that?
is
I was
that?
actually gonna ask.
Bird chest need love too.
Tell me what a bird chest
chest.
is.
A bird chest is like he's skinny as fuck.
My boyfriend
Like,
is so cute.
he's hella
105
skinny.
pounds. Give me the bird.
Wait,
I don't
we got-
care.
Yeah, I know.
Wait,
Bird chest for life.
Not particular on like
I don't mind
body
that at
type,
all.
as long as
Listen.
they're just like
We-
a little
It's how they
bit
carry
bigger
their
than me.
body.
Because I
A little
dated,
bit
We have-
bigger
yeah,
than me.
I've
we
dated
have,
both guys.
we have the
As long
internet.
as you can pick me up, we're good.
We have the internet, so we can look
Yeah.
it up.
bird chest.
Man,
That's interesting.
Google
I
it.
wonder if my boyfriend will watch it right now. He's like, is that what
Oh
they
my
say?
god.
And we just
Let's
got
see.
tattoos.
These are a little butt for the
Yeah,
bird
that
chest.
one.
Yeah,
This
yeah,
one, yeah.
that's a bird
Which one?
chest.
That's a bird chest.
No, my
right
man
there.
just
But if I like your personality, that
So
is not going to
skinny
bother me.
dude.
That's not going to be
Skinny
a bird chest is not a deal breaker. Straight up for me.
Thank you for I needed to know how to fix bird chest.
How to fix a bird chest? You trying to
Good
change
for
bird
him.
chest life out
Good
there?
for him. So that's the thing. I'm happy for his body and his body, both bodies, as long as he's loving himself and feeling
Yeah.
good.
The personality is way more important than like
Yeah.
their, you know,
Yes.
like I feel like how their body.
He said bird watchers. I see you, Tim.
What we do in our free time, Tim. None of
All
your
right.
business.
All right. So yeah, do appreciate you guys, man. Shout out to the live chat one more time.
Yeah,
Thank you,
for real.
guys.
Do appreciate you guys. I see some of you guys watching on Instagram as well. But definitely come over. I appreciate you guys. But we'll keep it. Yeah. Oh, hey, I'm gonna keep it 100 to all the fellas out there. You got a bird chest. Go hit the fucking push-ups, man. Go hit the push-ups.
So maybe that's what's preventing him from having the full bird.
If the woman really fucks with you, that bird chest isn't gonna get in the way. No, it's not. Like, no,
Hey.
it's
I
not.
feel like
Every woman says that too. The guy with the chest walks by. I'm like,
I've been with a bird chest. I'm speaking from experience. Like,
Keyword.
everybody needs love.
Yeah.
she's the one who wrapped it from
Hey, K,
Bird
K,
chest need love too.
K. Keyword bin.
Start a hashtag.
Fit, okay.
It didn't work
okay,
out.
That's fair. Like that's
It didn't
fair.
work out. Okay, it didn't work out.
It did it.
She's a weak. They got binoculars out early in the AM, scoping them out.
I've heard. Look,
Tim gotta go. He killing me.
I've
I'm
heard.
like, I don't go for bird chest. I'm just done with the bird chest, okay? That's
No,
not
no.
my type. It's not bird chest.
No, I don't want these guys to get some false hope because
I'm in my bird
I'm
chest.
like, I got a bird chest. You gonna fuck
because girls will say I'm with the guy with the bird chest. Is this you guys still there? No, I left. Oh, okay.
It's a bird chest out there. Like, it's my time to shine.
You gotta give him this.
All right.
Get out there, guys.
All right. All right.
That shit is so funny.
Great conversation. All right, I want to move on to a deeper conversation, and I would love to hear what you guys have to say. So, we understand. Let me ask you guys a question. Do you guys believe in dating with intention?
Yes.
Absolutely.
So if you're dating with intention, so to define that more clearly for everyone, dating with the purpose. So for me, the definition of dating with intention means you're dating for long term. You're not dating for short term. You're not dating for fun. You're not dating for casual. What if it's marriage for you or for a long term committed relationship? So you're very intentional with the way you date. So you guys agree with that? You guys, is that something you would want for yourself? Going into a intentional relationship with somebody that's dating for intention?
Well, I think even just like knowing that you want, whether it's like a long-term committed or like short-term, whatever, that is all like its own intention.
Yeah, I
It's
think
just-
dating with intention can be anything. It's
Yeah.
just dating with
Committed. You want a commitment. The ultimate goal when you're dating with somebody is you want to be in a committed relationship. So that's dating with intention. So we're dating. We're still getting to know each other, but I just want to let you know, this is not something I want to invest into if you don't want commitment. So if you're just doing this for fun, if you're just doing this because you want to see what's out there, if you have no vision of yourself seeing this long term, then I'd rather you let me know right now so I can keep it moving. But that's what dating with intention. So you guys date, but you have to let them know, look, I'm doing this long term because I saw some things I like about you, but let's get to know each other. But I want to let you know up front if I want to do something long term with this. Right? Do you guys agree with that or no?
I think that it is about letting the person know, I intend to do XYZ, but it can be short term, long term. It can be any of them. I don't think it has to be committed.
Okay. So, okay. I agree. No, that's your opinion. No, Roy? Okay. What about you?
I believe in dating with intention for sure, but at the same time, I'll be honest, when I date somebody, I'm not necessarily like, oh, I hope this goes to like a long-term relationship, or I don't like get with them like, oh, I'm dating you because I want to marry you. It's more so like, okay, like I'm honestly pretty content by myself right now, but it's like I'm dating you to just see what I feel like would be the right situation with you. Like, man, because this might be a good situation for me to just date you for a little while if I know later down the line I'm going to want more serious things and you're not. So it's like, I feel like usually I'm dating to figure the person out, but I believe in dating with intention, Like I respect that when other people are doing that, but I feel like I'm just not really walking into situations looking for marriage or long-term relationships, but I'm not like closed off to it. Not at all either.
Okay. Okay. Fair enough. What about you, Liz? Well, you said you're poly. Are you still poly right now?
No, I'm monogamous right now. And the thing is, I mean, there's so many interpretations of poly, but for me, it was just mostly like being able to have control over myself, but also I needed like honesty from anyone who wanted to be kicking it with me. Like I just needed them to be honest rather than like the play. Like I don't need you lying. Like I need to be able to make my decisions. So like let's be honest with each other about everything, etc. But
Sorry to interrupt. Do you mind if I ask, with your polyamorous relationship, was it male with another woman, another man?
Men.
2 men. Okay.
Men. Yeah. So, but the thing is, I think there's like this understanding where it's like a lot of physical, and it's actually like the opposite when you're poly.
Yeah.
It's actually like almost all emotional.
Mhm.
You're like talking it's a lot of emotional. But that's kind of why I backed out of it, because I realized maybe there was some trauma dumping that was going on, that I was like, whoa, like I'm not one of the anarchists who are like trying to have like sex with people. I just think that's a single person.
Right.
That's a single person. It's you're just single. You're doing whatever you want.
Yeah.
Right.
Mhm.
And then I was like, well, this is actually a lot of emotional stuff. And then I realized I can't do that.
Mhm.
I'm actually not available to that many people emotionally at once.
Yeah.
And
So you
you
figured
just have
that
to
out.
accept
by
it. Yeah,
going
you
through
just have to
that.
accept it. And I'm definitely not available physically.
Yeah.
To that many people.
Okay.
At once.
Yeah, that's a lot.
Yeah, it's a lot.
Yeah.
For me, it was not. I was not able to do it.
Yeah.
Long term
Okay.
like that. But the question was,
Now, do you agree with dating with intention?
no,
Okay, that's fine.
I don't.
No,
I think
that's-
that I'm gonna meet you, and then we're gonna find out what's next.
Yeah.
Because if I was gonna say I'm definitely dating you with intention, I feel like then I could be fake by saying that.
Okay,
because
no,
I
that's
don't know
fine.
what
No,
happens
that's fine.
next.
That's fine.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's open up this conversation, because I see this is something that we may differ in opinion, and this is a great conversation to have. My question I want to ask you guys: do you guys want children eventually down the line?
Yeah.
No, actually.
Okay, so you don't want no kids.
Mm-mm.
Okay, are you just saying that for now, maybe later, or just at all your entire life?
I have a very specific condition.
Okay.
I have a kidney and liver disease that I was born with, and it's genetic, so I don't want to pass it down to any kids. If I was in a relationship in the future where my partner, whatever, wanted to have kids, I would open that conversation up to maybe adoption, or like maybe egg removal and having somebody else carry the kid, that I may be open to. I just don't want to pass my genetic disease on to somebody else, because it's been hard living with it.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
All right.
That's
What, and just as a question real quick, what if you met a man that loved you enough that he would want, if he just like, look, let's have a kid and let's take that chance? What if the kid comes out with it? What if he doesn't? But let's
It's a
say,
1 in 4 chance.
yeah. But he says like,
Small
he
chance.
just wants one child. He clearly loves you, and he just at
It
least
has
wants
nothing
one
to do
kid.
with love.
It's the child.
It's about the child suffering at the
Yeah,
end of the day.
yeah.
Because, I already know what Sam's going to say. The suffering of the world is part of it.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
that's another thing for me. But
Okay.
that I can kind of move past, because everybody has been able to face the world and we're getting through it. So that's not an issue necessarily at the end of the day for me. But I don't want to bring a child into this world that's full of suffering, full of hate, and all of this. It's full of love and awesome shit too. But so many terrible things happen in our world, and global warming, and that, and then also to have a kidney and liver disease on top of it, like the chances of that, I just don't want to take. That's not something I want to do
Okay.
to a person,
Okay. All right.
especially my kid.
Okay.
Yeah.
I don't know. Fair enough. And then, so Sam, do you want kids later or never at all?
I felt like this way my entire life. I just don't want to have kids. And, if down the line my partner really wanted to have kids, I'd be open to opening up that conversation. I've always said, like, if I'm ever going to have kids, I'm going to adopt, because there's so many kids out there that, like, need love and care.
Mhm.
And, yeah, like what Shelby said earlier, like, there's so much suffering in the world already. It's like, I don't want to bring someone in the world to more suffering when there's already suffering. Like, there's kids that need parents. So I would want to be their parent first.
Okay.
But, just my personal take.
Okay. All right. Fair enough. I'll pass it to you, Kay. Do you want kids?
I do want kids. I'm not like in a rush for them right now, but I do want to have kids like around the time I'm maybe like 30-ish. Like
Okay.
I feel like just within that like range, like within my 30s, that's like about when I want to have kids.
Okay.
But yeah, it's something I want, but it's not something I'll like force. Like if it's not happening naturally, if I'm not meeting the right person at that time, I don't want to just have like a baby daddy just because I was like rushing to like have kids hella bad. But I feel like it's just a goal for myself. But I don't think there's anything wrong with it for any woman that doesn't want to have kids either.
Okay. Fair enough. And then I'll pass it to you, Liz. You want kids?
I already have a son.
Son, okay.
But I don't want any more.
You're done?
I'm done. Yeah.
Okay.
He's about to go to college. So
Okay.
for his master's degree. So
Okay.
I'm good.
Okay.
And
Fair enough.
And if I, with the way, like I agree with Sam very much. So like if my partner wanted, we would probably adopt.
Yeah.
But I don't think, I don't like the way stuff is going right now. My favorite out there.
Mhm.
So I worry about my child constantly.
Yeah.
So that's the truth. I worry about so many different things. So, but I also loved every moment of it. And being a mother was like everything. It was just everything. I feel like it made me not be a little cretin.
Yeah.
To be honest, I feel like I had an option to be a little cretin.
Yeah.
And God's like, "No, be a mom instead." So
Yeah.
like saved my life being a mother.
Yeah.
Personally. I was like,
That's beautiful.
Okay. Okay. All right. No worries. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Okay. So you said you wanted kids.
Yes,
Do you want a man that's going to be a good father?
of course.
Yeah. Yeah. Right. Good
Mhm.
father. He's going to love his kids. Going to take care of his kids.
Mhm.
And he was going to take care of you, right?
Uh-huh.
Those are qualities that you would want.
Yes, for sure. My dad was really good to me, so it's like I
Yeah.
feel like I kind of like use that as like the like poster model a lot of the time.
And on this panel, can we agree that as women, if you guys, if they wanted kids, right, they would want a man that wants to be a good dad. He wants to be he's responsible. He wants to take care of his children. He wants to commit to his wife and make sure that he does his duty as a husband and a father to take care of his family. Can we all agree with that, right? That's a good thing,
Yeah.
and that should be, and that for most people, that's the outcome, especially for most women, right?
Mhm.
Okay, so no, that the reason why I bring that up because the question of what I asked you guys was the dating with intention, right? And the things, the way we date today, I think that's where I believe that's why I want to bring this up for conversation. I want to hear what you guys have to say, but I think one of the biggest issues of why so many people struggle with dating relationships because everything is short term today.
Mhm.
All right. So we have hookup culture, right? We have casual dating. We have situationships, right? We're just having dating for fun, right?
That instant gratification.
Yeah, right. So the thing is for me is if you're going to date somebody, especially if you're dating for a relationship, the ultimate goal for everyone down the line is family, kids, and having a great and healthy relationship. So if that's the outcome of what you want in your life, then for me, it doesn't make sense for me when you choose people who don't have the characteristics, the qualities for that, so that you can be able to handle that just in case if that happens. Because one way you can combat it is if you don't have sex. But the problem is we live in hookup culture where people are having sex before marriage, before commitment. So my issue is when you're dating somebody and you're having sex with somebody, if you choose to do that, that don't have those characteristics and qualities, what happens when you finally have children? And that's why oftentimes we find men and women who have children, but they're not ready for it because they didn't date for that reason, or they didn't have sex and never thought about that long term because they were just having sex for fun.
Mhm.
Even though the consequence of having sex or building a relationship with somebody, eventually it's going to lead to something long term. So I think that's one of the reasons why I believe so many people find themselves in situationships, because you date short term, but we're human beings. If you spend so much time with somebody, there's going to be an emotional connection. Eventually, somebody's going to fall for somebody, or you're going to catch feelings, what they say now today, right?
Mhm.
So what the thing is, what happens if you catch feelings, but you never had a conversation to see if this is going long term? And a lot of men and women find themselves in situationships or just dating for fun, and eventually they want to catch feelings and they want to take it to the next level, but that was never the intention from the beginning. And that person can always have that way out. Look, I'm just here to have fun.
Yeah.
But you guys are doing everything in a relationship, in dating, but then the only thing that's lacking is the commitment.
Right.
And that's why a lot of people struggle with relationships. And then that's why we hear so many men and women saying, men and women don't want to commit no more. You see so many people complaining, my baby daddy ain't shit, my baby mama ain't shit, because you didn't date to make sure that they were ready to be a parent.
Yeah.
And that's why for me is, if that's the outcome, like I said, it depends on what you want. But I truly believe you ask most people, do you want a good mother? Do you want a good parent? Do you want a good father? Do you want somebody that's responsible? If you want somebody that's going to love their family, take care of their family, you want somebody that's faithful, committed, then it doesn't make sense for me if you're investing your time, energy, and your body to somebody who's not ready for that. So that's why I think that's why we're so messed up today when it comes to dating, because we're just doing everything short term. But the thing is, what happens when you want that long-term relationship, but you've chosen somebody that's not ready for that, and then you find yourself in a situationship or a predicament where you try to force that person to be in a long-term relationship, or like you all mentioned before, you saw all the red flags, right? But you saw that, but you knew deep down that this person wasn't going to be a long-term partner,
Right.
and then your feelings get hurt.
There's also an alternative reaction to that. It's called it's settling,
Yeah,
where someone has a lot of green flags.
Yeah.
And so you choose them, even though they didn't give you maybe that feeling
Mhm.
that you needed to be deep in love, but they gave all the other things you said, the job, taking care of, they're going to be a good parent. And then you're in that relationship with them, you get married and keep going. And then all of a sudden, you have the child. This just happened to a lot of my homegirls.
yeah.
And now they're in their 30s and they're not in love. And then they're kind of act out. It almost hits them traumatically. They're
because they don't know
very
what to
unhappy.
do now.
Yeah,
It's really sad because they do love their children.
Yeah.
And they love this life that they built, but there wasn't full love.
Yeah.
Whatever
There's that
that
disconnect.
is for two different people.
Mhm.
With my one friend, it's always just a crazy cycle, because it's almost like you can't just walk away. I don't know if it's a woman thing or I don't know, because I guess men do it, and it seems like we're so used to that. But I think women go through this different thing, they can't just walk away. So it was always dramatic, and she did this whole this build up where I was just girl, just get a divorce.
Mhm.
Maybe you should just get a divorce and accept maybe is it failure? You feel this failure,
Yeah.
whatever. And that can go really bad too for the kids
yeah.
and for everyone. So it's here were all those things lined up, like you said, that should have equaled, but if someone's not being completely honest, and I think we had talked about that even before this, I said the honesty. If they're even being just a little unhonest about how they feel, that can go real messed up,
Yeah.
real easy too. So it's it's so tough to know the future. All you can do is pray that you get with someone that you really continues
Yeah.
to work on that with you forever. But for me, even if I've dated with the intention, and then it didn't get me to something so dramatically bad, but I did have to do so much to leave, instead of just being oh, this is, I had to convince myself over years to leave, because everything was so good
Mhm.
except myself. I just was not in love.
I mean, just to use an analogy, right? So if you guys had your own business, right? And of course, did something that you built and you're truly invested and you love your business, and you're trying to decide to hire somebody to be the CEO, to lead your business, right? Would you hire somebody that doesn't have the characteristics or qualifications for it? Or would you find somebody you hire that has all the qualifications and characteristics to be a successful CEO, to lead your company? What would you choose?
Clearly, a person with the
Qualifications, right?
Qualifications.
Right, exactly. So that's why for me, dating is not for fun. Dating is the vetting phase, right? Is to make sure that you're picking the right person, because there's a lot of consequences when you choose the wrong person. And the thing for me is, and I've heard this on a previous podcast, and I really believe this, one of the biggest decisions you will ever make in your life is the person you go in a relationship and you have sex with. If you make the wrong decision on the wrong person, for a lot of people, it can ruin your life. That's why you hear a lot of stories of people having sex with somebody that didn't want to be wanted to be a father, or they didn't want it to be a mother, or they didn't want to be in a long-term relationship, and they abandoned them when they really needed them to step up when a family is involved. So that's why for me is, if your ultimate goal is you want a family, right? If you want to raise great children, whatever that looks for you, you want to commit to relationships. It just doesn't make sense to me when we participate in casual sex, hookup culture, messing with people that don't have the qualification, the characteristics. Because when you go in a long-term committed relationship, you need that person to be responsible and be ready for that obligation and duty. And if you hire somebody that's not ready for that responsibility, what they're always gonna do is leave you or abandon you or go find somebody else. So like what do you guys think about that? Because that's what we see today.
I mean, sometimes you hire that CEO and then they look at you and go, I could get a younger, better version of you. I'm just going to take your business model and go over to Susie Q, who's 20 years younger, and start a new business. So you got to be careful about that CEO that you hire. That could go a lot of different ways with you. I'm just saying that I agree with you about it. Like, I 100% agree with what you're saying. But I will say that still isn't going to be as important of the outcome as what's important to the person when they go on a date. So dating intention with you, what you're saying, I do agree with that. And I know that works, and I've seen that work, and I know that's real. But it's back to when Shelby and Tim, dating with intention can be very different for other people, because people have different intentions. It might be the word intention specifically, because if people have different intentions, they're not dating with intention. They just have different intentions than you might have or I might have. Yeah. So what you're really saying is, when you sit down with someone, you want to make sure that your guys' intentions are aligned.
Yeah, that's what.
100%. Yes. But it wouldn't be that other people aren't dating with intention. You need alignment within the intentions that you have in the person you're dating.
My only pushback to what you said, respectfully, right, is regardless of what your intention is, right, the thing is, the outcome is family, and you want to be with somebody that wants that responsibility to be a good parent.
Not
so
necessarily, because I don't.
No, for you, you don't want kids, right? Okay. I'm just talking in general. That most people would want to have children and they want their father of their child or the mother of their child to be responsible and willing to stay in a committed relationship to raise the kids, right? So I agree with you. Like, some people don't want that. That's fine if you want that. By saying the majority of people, my issue is, regardless, because I've heard that conversation from different people. I'm just dating for my own reasons. Okay, that's fine. But then if you're having sex, you're gonna eventually get pregnant, have a child, and that child needs a father and the child needs a mother. But the thing is, that's why it always comes back to, regardless of what your intention is, it's always going to come back to family. It's always going to come back to a parent. So you have to have that hard conversation in the beginning to make sure that if you're going to invest your time, energy, and your body to somebody, just one of the consequences, just make sure that if you do have a child, they're ready for that responsibility. But if you don't address that in the beginning because your intention is different, so like I said, life's going to hit you. Eventually, that responsibility is going to come up, and you need that person to step in and invest into a relationship. But if you never had that conversation because your intention was different, then you're going to find yourself in a situation where you're going to raise that child on your own, and that person's going to leave you. And that's why a lot of people today find themselves in situations, because if you look at the single-parent household today, it's higher than ever. Yeah. Children out of wedlock, higher than ever. Mm-hmm. So that's, I think for me, is that we had to go back to where traditionally where we had to date for commitment. Right. So make sure that you find people with the characteristics, make sure you find people with qualities that are ready for that responsibility. I'm not saying you can't have fun, and I'm saying you can't have those go on dates and have love and enjoy all these things. But I think that's a byproduct of when you finally meet somebody that loves you, appreciates you, and is ready for that responsibility. That love is going to come naturally. Mm-hmm. Right? Because you see this person is moving differently and is dedicated to you and is ready for that responsibility. Look, we have children. I got you. I'll be there. Yeah. But the thing is, hookup culture, casual sex, having fun, dating for a short term, that you're going to find yourself attracting the wrong type of people, the wrong type of men, and the wrong type of women, because when life hits you, that's when you need that good person the most, right? Yeah. Dusty, crash out, Jack broke, Dusty wants beef always. Oh, damn, that's a long. Pretend I'm not here lurking for beef and fuckery, yo. Okay. All right, so, all right, see, I saw some new names on the live chat. Italian Mama.
Yeah.
Hey.
That's why I see like 200 people in here.
All right, I see Ness. What's up, Ness? Good to see you. Appreciate you guys. Tim, Lord Punisher. I do want to ask you guys. Shout out to you. You guys are coming on some. Hey, if you recognize these guys, please support them. Show some love in the live chat on the channel. Thank you so much for watching.
Thank you.
But I do want to ask you something, because this is something I saw that's debated online. So, like I mentioned before, I'm not a big advocate for casual sex and hookup culture, because you're not vetting out the people to be ready for that responsibility, just in case if that family comes along, right? But there are people out there saying that they need to go and explore themselves sexually and have fun and go do all that stuff, which is normalized today, right? That's the society we live in. It is what it is. Do you guys, and they're telling people, either way, don't delay marriage, delay commitment, do that later in your life, but just go there and have fun and just do what you do in your 20s and then marry later in your 30s. My issue with that is the consequences, because when you have fun, you have sex, there's always a consequence of having children and a baby. So you can have fun all you want. So, but what happens when that child comes along and that partner doesn't want to take that responsibility because he was just having fun with you, or you were just having fun with them? What do we do then? Where's the obligation for society? Because if we want a better generation, I think as people, we have a duty, not only as parents to our children, to give them a better life, but also as a society. Like, we try to make sure that we can build a better society for our grandchildren and children. I think for me is, we live in a society that tends to be self-centered. Everything is about you. But I think when it comes to family and obligation, it's no longer about you anymore. It's about the family. It's about the children. It's about we, right? So we live in a society today just telling people me, just focus on their self-interest. But then that's why a lot of times people find it's hard for people to be in long-term committed relationships, because it doesn't involve you anymore. It involves teamwork.
Yeah.
So I think the messaging, the conditioning, the see that we see online, the things that we see to how we behave in dating, I think it's all a detriment to not give you the best outcome when it comes to long-term committed, loving, healthy relationships. So, but what's the response to that? That's the things that we see that's normalized today, like with having fun, sexual liberation, go out there and live your 20s and do what you do, go to sleep with as many people as you can, don't worry about family later, and just avoiding all the consequences. What do you guys think about that? Do you think that's a healthy way of building a long-term or attracting good people that's have those characteristics and those qualities they're looking for? Do you think that's a good way to attract those people, or that's the worst way to repel those people? What do you guys think? I'll just open panel.
I think to a certain extent, I think that it's okay to experiment, but you shouldn't like go balls to the wall and like absolutely everybody like swipe right on put in your Tinder, like, you know. But I don't know if healthy is the right word, but a certain amount of experimentation is allotted for people to experience what life has to offer. Because like, you can't, you know, be grown up and just like, well, you can, but expect to then be like in your 20s, 30s, and then look for a committed relationship, not having any experience whatsoever. You know what I mean? Like, I feel like to a certain extent, you need to kind of experiment, but it's also not being unhealthy about it, not going crazy and sleeping with absolutely everybody, not doing it in an unhealthy way, you know?
This is a question. Do you really need that experience, or why don't you just have that experience with somebody that's committed to you and has those qualities and characteristics? Like, if you find a good thing, that experience can be whatever, sexual, emotional, physical. Why not just find somebody that's good for you and then is ready for that long-term committed relationship and do everything and experience everything with him, instead of going with people and experiencing people that don't really have proven themselves they want to be with you long-term?
For me personally, I wasn't ready to commit to a long-term relationship.
Yeah.
The person that I was meeting with, they weren't ready for a long-term relationship, but we were still like on common ground in terms of the relationship that we could create. So it wasn't like we were conscious of the fact that we were going to experiment and like do this. It was more of just like it happened.
Yeah.
And we were just like two people meeting, and we just both had that like same intent in our relationship, that we weren't looking for something serious. We weren't looking for anything, you know, further than this or whatever it is, whether it was a one night stand, which I've done like a couple times, or, you know, a situationship, like whatever it may be, having that understanding, I feel like is okay. But to just like go into it and not tell them, then that's where it can become unhealthy. And that's where it becomes an issue.
All right.
Hurting other people and not communicating.
Okay.
Yeah.
No worries. Anybody want to add on?
I feel like it's okay if you want to be single and have fun. It's okay if you want to be in a relationship. I feel like where it starts becoming a problem is like if you're making it a goal to sleep with as many people as you can, or just like at the end of the day, sex is something that can be an addiction. So as soon as it crosses that line to where you're treating it like something where it's not healthy anymore, I feel like that's where the problem really kicks in. But I think it's okay for people to experiment. I feel like the main people that should experiment are people that like you gotta have like a long-term relationship and that's like the only person you've ever been with. You don't know what you fucking like. I'm sorry, but I feel like you don't really like, you've only been with one person. Like it's like I feel like
Don't you think
kinda
ignorance?
gotta, like-
Don't you think ignorance is bliss?
it might not be though, because
What do you know?
what if there's like certain traits, like if you would have dated 2 or 3 people, you would have realized, no, I really do like it when people treat me like this, do that. Like I feel like sometimes it is a little bit healthy to experiment a little bit, but like the term experiment can be taken too far. Like you know when you're doing too much, you can't just try to sleep with everybody. Like I'm experimenting, but it's like at the same time, if you've only been with one person, I could see how you want to kind of venture out, and then that's like really intense to have it be like one serious relationship and then I'm just gonna get into another serious relationship without even really knowing what I like. Like that's so intense.
I want to respond to something because that's something I've heard on online that's opening up a big discussion. So I've heard this online. So there's a rhetoric and there's a message out there for a lot of women that would say, go and explore yourself sexually, because what happens if you come across a man that's not as good in bed or in sex, right? So my thing is, if you come across a man, says, hey, this is the first guy you've been with, but he's a good guy, and he treats you well, he loves you, he respects you, he has the qualities to be a good father, he wants that obligation, he wants that duty, that's what he wants, right? He's done nothing wrong, and shown nothing to say that he's going to mistreat you, and he's a really good person, right? And you guys have sex, and that's the only guy you know. Why don't, even if whether the sex is good or bad, but that's the only guy you know, and he is also bringing all these things to the relationship as well. Why do you need to go and explore what's out there sexually? Because what they're saying is don't settle for one guy, because what happens if the guy isn't the best sex you ever had? And the thing for me is, I think it's a limited understanding of what a relationship is. I'm not denying the fact that sex isn't important. No, I'm a man. Like, God damn, it's important. Right? I'm sorry, but I'm saying that's only one component of relationship. What's also important is duty, obligation, being a good parent, being a good father, taking care of your children. Those are things that's important, right? So I think a lot of women have been convinced that sex is more important than everything else, and that's why oftentimes I see a lot of women say, "Look, they're with a guy that's good in sex, but he has no job, he has no career, he doesn't have the qualities of being a good parent, but they just stay with the guy that has no sex, but they also complain about how that they don't have a real man in their relationship." Yeah. So what I'm saying is, if you want a good thing, if sex is going to be something that's important to you, I think that's something that you have to communicate with your partner and figure out. You know, I think that's important as well. Like, what do you guys need to do together to make it work, so that way you guys can learn and improve to satisfy each other's sexual needs, but also be with somebody that has everything that you look for in a marriage and a committed parent. But why would you leave that person and to see that there's something better out there sexually, when that person's showing everything, all the qualifications that he could be a good man and also a good husband and also a good father? For me, that doesn't make sense.
Yeah, I feel like if somebody's everything you want in a person, even if the sex weak, just overlook that shit. Like, and really, I feel like if you're with somebody for a long time, you guys can kind of like tell each other what you guys like. Like, you might be able to meet each other halfway, but it is kind of important to be at least like somewhat sexually compatible. I feel like some people are just not sexually compatible. Like, it's not either person's fault; they just don't go well together. I really believe in that.
Okay, all right.
Totally. You have to consider like also that people can start off one way and then become like very asexual inside of their relationships, like long-term relationships. And that works for some people really well. Like they do want less sexual interaction as they go. But then other people are like, no, I want to keep it going how we had it. And like she said, the compatibility, I feel like that that's more important than like, as long as they're trying, you know, if you're just in a relationship with someone and they just are like, no, I think that's tough.
Yeah.
Because that can really start to make you feel unwanted, maybe, or
Self-conscious even.
and then also it can start to make you wonder, like, are they sleeping with other people? Like, I've had friends who feel like their dude switched up his sexual energy with them, and then they're like, "Is this happening?" And they're like, "No, no, no." And then it like turns out like they break up, and then he's with someone so quick that it just feels like, and even though they'll say up and down, no, 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 it just feels like they could already kind of feel them halfway out. So,
all right. I do want to bring up this topic because it's one of the topics that's related to does your dating history matter? And we were talking about sexual liberation and sex as well. So I want to ask you guys, does their how many sexual partners they had in their past, does that matter to you? Does that matter, especially when it comes to if you're going to vet somebody to be into a committed long-term relationship? So does it matter to you that how many sexual partners that man or the woman had in the past?
No, as long as they were safe.
no, I just think everybody needs to get tested when they go to that, whatever that realm is, if that's something on their mind, right? Because what is could be well, maybe something, and just be honest about that. But what is it called? Body count? I don't even understand why that.
Body
I just
count.
don't
Do you think body count matters?
No.
I don't think that it's that important. I feel like maybe out of curiosity, I would just want to know, like, are you like very innocent? Like, I'm like the only girl or only two girls you slept with, or is it like, okay, you slept with a lot of girls? I feel like I maybe want to like be curious about that, but at the same time, like, because it's like if you slept with two girls, it's like, oh, he's innocent. Like, you kind of want to know that so you could like know how to go about it. Like, or it's like, oh, he's super experienced. Like, I don't really, like, I don't know. Like, I feel like a little bit, but it's like I have never ever asked a man his body count. To me, if you really love somebody, that's not what's supposed to matter, as long as they're STD free by the time they get to you. That's what I feel like, because it's like I feel
Take that test, right? To take that test.
Yeah, like as long as they're sanitary by the time they get to you. But it's like I feel like body count or what somebody did for work and shit like that. Like that's not supposed to be the most important thing when you love somebody. Like I just don't believe.
Let me just play this clip real quick. It was this scientist who does a lot of research when it comes to dating relationship dynamics, and the topic was about sexual partners, history, and body count. So let me just play the clip real quick. This right here.
So there's two ways that you can say, does it matter? One way you could say, does it matter, is do people care about it, right? So on the mating market, do people care about it? And we'll start with that, and then we'll go into the kind of deeper question that you want, because this is the simpler question, do people care? We see that most people, when you ask them, they want an average-ish body count in their partner, right?
What is...
Average-ish is kind of Goldilocks zone, a few to several, right? So it's and I think it's going to be a little, higher in Miami. I don't know, but
Bay Area,
anecdotally, but allegedly. But most people, when you ask them, if you go up to women and you're like, okay, what would be the ideal body count in a guy? They won't say a virgin, right? And they won't say 100, right? They're going to say like a middling amount. I can't remember the exact number, but I believe it was around 6, right? And then you ask men, and they say around, I believe it was around 4. I'm not sure, but it was an average-ish count, and it wasn't a huge. But the other thing is like that's the ideal, right? But if you ask someone what is your ideal husband's salary, right? What's your ideal husband's salary? They might say $2 million because you asked them for the ideal, right? Yeah. But in terms of who they'll date, they might date someone who's making $20K a year, right? Like it could be totally.
My boy, a little more than that.
It could be totally chill in practice. So so what the ideal is, it seems to be kind of an average-ish amount. But in terms of how important it is, there's varying results, but it doesn't seem to be that important to most people. My friend Alexander, who's a graduate researcher, he did a survey of several hundred people, and it wasn't a representative sample, but it was quite interesting. The result was basically most people, or about half of people, don't ask body count. And then when they do ask, they've usually seen the person for quite a while by the time they ask, right? And if it was something that was very important to most people, it would be something that you'd ask early, because if you're excluding people based on it. Then you look at who breaks up over body count. I believe it was men did care more than women. Men did care about it more than women, but it was a small portion of men. I believe 10% of men in his sample had ever stopped dating anybody because of body count. And then the body count number was relatively high. It was, I can't remember the exact number, but it was over 20. And then about 6% in the women in his sample had stopped dating someone because of body count. So some women, about, what is that, 1 in 20? I mean, it's probably not representative, so I wouldn't wedge yourself to any of these numbers, but a minority, but not a non-existent group of women will stop dating people over their body count. But again, it was a relatively high number. So I would say that most people seem to care about body count a little bit, but it's not that important. And they tend to want an average-ish number. And men and women tend to want a similar thing. They tend to want someone with an average-ish body count. So that's one version of how much does it matter. The other question of how much does it matter is how much does it predict behavior, right? Quite a bit. Quite a bit. Quite a bit.
The general
yeah,
concern.
it's not nothing. So there was one study of over 1,000 Americans that looked at this. It was from the IFS, and they ran, I believe it was 1,001 Americans actually, which is kind of a funny sample size. Almost sounds like, I don't know, book cover. But in any case, they asked 1,001 Americans about their body count, and then their divorce, like how divorced were they essentially, I believe it was. And when they split the data in a convenient way, I believe it was people with a body count under 5 were, and I really hope I'm just remembering this correctly because I'm coming up with numbers based purely off memory. So if I'm wrong, I'll send you guys a DM.
Yeah, for sure.
I believe it was risk of either risk of infidelity or risk of divorce. I can't remember which it was in this specific study, doubled after a body count of 5, right? So people above 5, men and women, had a much higher chance of relationship issues. But that's just one study, and you really shouldn't hang your hat on it. It's more that the collection of studies seems to show that people who are more sociosexually unrestricted, people who have more partners, that is, generally, people who have more casual partners specifically, tends to have more issues in long-term monogamous relationships.
All right, so that was the clip I saw. He's a scientist. He does a lot of research when it comes to relationship dynamics between men and women. So one of the key points what I heard on that was, when the body count is more than 5, based on the studies and the research of the people they interviewed and did a survey on, when it goes higher than 5, the divorce rate and the failed relationship rate doubled. When it was typically under 5, the relationship tend to succeed and work out long term. So he also mentioned that body count does matter a little bit more than the men than the women.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Women don't care about that. That's only men that are gonna ask that shit really most of the time.
Yeah. But let me ask you this question: why do you think men care about a woman's body count?
It has to do with their ego. I feel like, I feel like women are stronger in that one way. Like emotionally, I feel like it's like I don't care if somebody's been with 100 girls before they see me, as long as they don't have no STD. Like that's the only thing that I really care about, because I'm not gonna be like, oh, he slept with 65 girls. That's just too many. Like I don't know. It's not really what's important to me.
I think it's when men are acting like that, it's like she said, it's ego, but that's what they won't realize is that's actually their feminine side. That's their emotional side. That's them feeling emotional about someone else touching something that they feel like is theirs, right? Because it's not, clearly it's not theirs, it's hers. But like when they want to get emotional over it and they're getting that ego, that's actually, with masculine and feminine, there's like the physical form of it, and there's ideology, and then there's the reality. Feminine energy is mostly about emotions and feelings. Yeah. And masculine energy is about logic. Mm-hmm. And, women are very logistic about the body count. Okay, okay, so. Mm-hmm. And then men are emotional. It's like in that moment, women are very masculine and men can be very feminine when coming to the subject of body count. Okay. Yeah. That's just something I've recognized every time I see this discussion of body count, because they're getting triggered in that way where women can, when they're feeling, even though they're not being disrespected, but that's men's version of getting so emotional. Like if someone else was with you, oh my God, someone touched you, oh my God,
Yeah.
and they get very emotional about it. I see them get emotional about it.
When I see the statistics, I feel like I could understand why somebody would have concerns if somebody's body count was high. Like I could understand that, but it's like I just feel like society focuses a little bit too hard on that, like in dating. Like there's so many other important things that could cause you guys to have a divorce or something besides just a high body count, you know?
Okay. All
I
right.
always question statistics. As someone who studies statistics, a lot of people don't realize statistics can really get played in a way and in a verse depending on what calculation they're using, what type of tree they're deciding to choose, what pool of perfect people they're taking the stat from. So I'm always very like with statistics because I'm like, from where?
Yeah.
Show me, like I want to see.
Oh.
I want to see the graph of
Yeah.
the pool
For
before I can really take that into
Right.
total consideration for who they're, if it applies to my life or not,
Yeah.
or
Okay.
my culture,
Yeah,
or where
yeah.
I'm at.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Anything want to add on, Shelby, about the body count?
No.
Do you think it matters?
No, I don't.
Yep, okay.
Not at all. I agree with everything that these ladies said. Honestly, with what you were saying earlier, I do think that it kind of can stem from like an insecurity thing with the guys, the masculine, the feminine, definitely. I think it's just hard to say because tying back into what I said earlier, people are so complex. So you really just have to learn what you like and do your best to just kind of like decipher around it.
Okay.
If you personally I feel like if you personally attribute body count as something that's like make it or break it, that says more to me about your insecurities than it says about your worry for the relationship, if that makes sense.
Okay. All right. And then Sam,
Sorry, what was the question?
does body count matter when it comes to the dating history?
No. Yeah,
Why?
I agree with what y'all said, and
Yeah, go ahead.
I don't know. I don't see why it matters. I just think if it matters to you, it's like, okay, well, why are you insecure? Like, yeah, it's a reflection of you. Like that.
Okay. All right, then no worries. Let me know what you guys think. I see E-Rock on the live chat. Dark Relief. Georgia.
I feel like men and women are always gonna kind of disagree. on
I
that
know.
one.
I'm going to
We're
explain why. I'm going to
They
break it
said
down to you
one
guys
of them
why.
said that we were guilty.
But thank you so much. I see some of you guys on the live chat.
Body count's not a reflection.
It's like we don't care.
All
because
right.
we're guilty. 'Cause we're
I do appreciate you guys on the live chat, but let me know what you guys think. Don't forget, if you do want to jump on and be part of part as a guest, if you want to jump on as a virtual guest, the link is in the become a supportive member of my locals. The link in the description, and you'll be able to jump on. Okay, so let me break it down for you guys. I think I might need some. Let me drink a cup real quick. Let me drink a cup real quick before I break this shit down.
Oh wait, we got one person that I think
Oh,
the
okay.
ladies are entitled to their opinion. Thanks.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right. Perfect.
That's funny.
All right. I want to preface. Before I make my response. I do want to preface it like this.
Jim says, "Slow down, Will." On that juice.
I do want to say right before I break it down for you guys. I do want to say is I don't agree with promiscuity for both men and women. For both men and women, I want to make sure that's absolutely clear because I do believe if you're looking for something for a monogamous committed relationship, then I do believe that promiscuity for both men and women, and even the guy on that video, the scientist, Mac and Murphy, that's his name. He even mentioned on the studies for both men and women, if they are promiscuous and they have a high body count, both the men and women, they both struggle to be in committed long-term relationships, right? So I do want to say that can we all on the panel agree that when it comes to what we look for in our partner between men and women, it's different. Can we all agree with that?
Yes.
So there's men find things that's attractive in women that's different from what women find things attractive in men.
No.
Okay, that's fine.
Okay,
All right.
moving on.
But it is, but there's science out there and research out there. And also if you have conversation with the men, we do have different things that we're attracted to. All right. So an example would be most women, not saying all, most women prefer taller men. All right. When it comes to height, you don't want to date a guy that's shorter than you. For most men, they don't want to date a tall woman. They want to date a girl that's shorter than him. that's one of the differences when it comes to what we find attractive, right? So when it comes to body count, it doesn't have to do with insecurity, all right? But I'll address the insecurity because there are guys out there, and I'll address that later. But it has nothing to do with insecurity. One of the biggest reasons why men care about body count is, number one, is it's paternity. They just want to make sure that I am the father of my children, right? So if I'm having sex with a woman that's loyal and monogamous to me, and I just met her, and she doesn't have a lot of sexual partners in the past or within the year, I know for a fact that the baby is going to be mine. But if I happen to date a woman and she's had 10 sexual partners in the last year, right? How do I really know the child is mine? And there's also statistics out there that show there's a lot of men out there paying child support, and then they find out later that their kid is biologically not theirs, right? So as women, you always know who the baby father is. You know who the kid is. But as men, we have to trust you that you're loyal to us and that the father is mine. So that's why a lot of guys, it's something that we have to look and consider, because if I'm dating somebody that's been loyal, I've only been the partner for the last year with her, then I have a good chance to know for a fact that that's my baby. But if you have multiple sexual partners within the year and I just met you and we have sex and the baby comes out and you get pregnant a couple months later, how do I really know it's mine?
Paternity tests.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, but most people don't. But like I said, when you have to understand, when it comes to relationships, we fall in love, right? So we trust you. Like a lot of guys trust their woman. They said,
Also, like,
yeah,
let's say that a man and a woman are in a relationship and the guy is like, oh, maybe that isn't my baby. And he goes to her and is like, I want a paternity test. And it really is.
breaks the trust. Breaks the trust. Yeah.
You know?
I want
Because
to
all
see the
those-
Venn
because-
diagram of the guys who want the women to not have a low body count but have all the red flags. I'd love to see that Venn diagram, because for me, I feel like it's always the men with the red flags who will be the first ones to be worried about a body count.
Sure.
And then I feel like, and not saying that you're a red flag,
Yeah,
by
yeah,
the way,
yeah.
I'm just saying, again, like you said, this is statistic.
Yeah.
This is the population. I don't think you would fit into that
Yeah.
brand. But a lot of the time that, and I know that takes insecurities out of it, but when we're looking, we got to go by where we're at. So if you're in Buffalo, New York, you're in a different area where all of that will probably make a lot more sense. But here in the Bay Area, red flags are going to try to be dissing you about you being their baby mama or not. Meanwhile, maybe you only had like 2 partners and they're still going to try to call your body count weird. You have a larger body count, but like I was saying, you might not even divulge that to the person that you're dating. So they don't even know.
No, nobody knows, right? Nobody
And so
knows.
It's like, I think that goes back to what you were saying, dating intention. Why are you dating a woman who's not showing all those characteristics of that's definitely going to be my baby?
No, I agree. No, I agree.
Then not. But I would say you saying the body count itself matters is a little contradictory to saying I want to date someone with intention. If the person comes to you and they say I want to date with intention,
Yeah.
and you want to date with intention, and then your next thing is, well, what's your body count? And they're like, it's 10. Oh, sorry, no, thank you.
No,
That's tough.
no. What I'm saying is
That's a tough
when
place.
it comes, like, nobody is ever going to ask that question, and I've never seen it. I think even if you ask that question, nobody's going to be upfront, honest, the man or the woman. So it's a pointless question to ask.
Then
But
how can we believe the statistic?
because
If they're going to just be
No,
not honest. even
no,
in that
no, the
moment.
statistics is a anonymous, right? So people, they were asked these questions, but their identity wasn't divulged.
But that's what I'm saying. Like, I think a person can say something like that the body count matters, but then in the situation, never know. So how are they even able to answer that honestly if they've never even really been sure of a body count? Even when they're giving that anonymous answer, it's still not accurate because they don't even know how that would really
No,
make them feel because they don't know people's body count.
No,
They're saying the
but
body count would matter to them, but they wouldn't really know.
no, nobody really knows, but you have a preference, right? Like,
So their preference.
yeah. So based on that
So
study was their preference was nobody will ever know the true body count of somebody if they were, let's be honest on this panel, but we all have a preference. Like we don't, like you said, they didn't want people with no experience, but they didn't want to partner with 100, right?
Right.
They just wanted like average, right? So, if somebody was having sex with 100 people, it's either they're in the sexual industry or They're just out there just having no standards and having sex with anything that moves, right?
And I think that's a more important conversation
Yeah.
than this body count one. I think that's even a better statistic to really go off, because the like just saying if it matters or not, I feel like that is going to be an emotional response.
Yeah.
I think that can come from insecurity. It can also come from values.
Yeah.
It can come from so many places. I wouldn't say that it wouldn't come from one or the other, but I feel like the people I've met who ever brought that up, which is very rarely,
Yeah.
they definitely did come from a place of, they're very immature people. They were
No.
very, very immature people who were even having that
There's-
discussion.
The multiple reasons why men do care about body count, and number one is paternity. We just want to make sure that the baby is ours, is mine. If I'm going to be the biological father, if I'm going to be the one taking care of this child and fulfilling my responsibility for this child, I just want to make sure it's mine. And there's a lot of women out there that have lied to their men and said, the baby is yours, I love you, and then they find out later. And I know men personally that took care of their baby, but they found out later it wasn't biologically theirs later on. It's one of the things.
Getting two women pregnant at the exact same time.
Yeah, well,
And lying to both of them.
I do understand that, but no, I know, but that's, I mean, they're both wrong, right? So,
But I'm saying though, the body counts.
no, what I'm
What
trying to explain is like the perspective of men, why it matters to them. That's what I'm saying. A lot of girls will use it as insecurity. For us, from the perspective of men, the way we see it, one of the things that's important for us is if I'm going to be the father and take care of this and take the responsibility of being the father, I just want to make sure it's mine. So if a woman has a history of multiple sexual partners within the last year, how do I really know the baby's going to mind? That means I have to trust her. But the thing is, like I said, it's something you have to consider. If she has a history of all these men that she had sex with in the past, and then all of a sudden she meets you and says, you know what, I'm done with my past. You're the husband I want to be with, and you're the only guy I want to have sex for the rest of my life. But you have a track record of having casual sex and never be in committed long-term relationships with all these men. But all of a sudden you want to be in a committed relationship with me, and all the guys in the past that you had sex with, you were never monogamous, you were never in a committed relationship. But now you want me to be the baby father to take that responsibility because I'm just the miraculous one that's not the other guys. That's what I'm saying. It's something that we have to consider.
I mean, are you the only baby father? Were you the first one and the only one?
Yeah.
So then maybe you are miraculously that dude.
Well, yeah, but at the same
You know
time,
what
like I
I'm saying?
said,
Like,
And also,
did she have 20 kids for each casual sex interaction she had?
Yeah.
So that's what I'm saying. Like, that's why I'm saying it's not a reasonable, logical
well,
thing to put this baby to the body count unless there's a baby for every body. I guess I'm going from a very logical place where these two really just don't feel like they are directly.
what I'm
connected.
saying
I
is,
understand the emotional piece
Yeah.
of it, but it's definitely not a logical
Well,
like thought pattern. to
because
really-
you're seeing it from the lens of a woman. The thing
No,
is from the
I'm seeing
lens
it
of a
from
man.
like from a masculine lens, like I said,
Yeah.
logically.
Yeah.
Like true logic, the two don't make sense. Oh, she had a lot of sex, but she didn't have babies with all of those people. But now her and I are together, and she told me I'm the one, and now we have produced a child. You are different already than all of the other people.
Yeah.
So that's like, so logically,
Yeah.
just by numbers, you're different. You are unique.
Okay.
And so
also-
you would have to actually like consider your uniqueness. And then again, y'all weren't casual, or if you are casual, you would know that you aren't, right? But you're not. You're dating. She's still with you. Now she's pregnant and the baby's come. That's 9 months.
Yeah.
So you've already changed the beat.
So
You
what
have to
then,
take
then what do you
that
say
note
with
down.
those guys that the women lied to and then they had to raise the child for 18 years?
I don't know if these guys lied to those women. So
No,
back to
no.
the
What
scenario I said,
I'm
like,
saying, what do you say to the guys that they raised a child that was not biologically theirs, and they dated a girl that had a promiscuous past?
Okay, so to me, again, like straight logic, if they were with that woman, if there was in their mind, she had been with a lot of people, they were curious, I would get a paternity test because in my logical mind would be like,
Mhm.
I would just need to know. I just need to know this. I've seen too much Maury, and my girl would need to either be down or not. And so again, I'd come from it from a logical
But
place.
see, the thing is, you're
So-
saying logical, but the thing is, like I was
So-
saying, we have to talk about in real life situations.
Right.
When you're in a relationship with somebody, there's emotions involved, right? So those women has told them you are the only one, and as men, we think we believe you, and the same thing as
But
women,
he
right?
didn't though, because you said that she had the high body count and he was stressed.
No. What I'm saying is your argument. Why didn't he just get a paternity test? What I'm saying is when you're in a relationship with somebody, nobody thinks of getting a paternity test because you trust each other.
Right.
Nobody thinks of getting a like you mentioned before. If I'm dating somebody long term, right, and I have children with her, the fact that I have to ask her, hey, can I get a paternity test? It shows it's for her. It's like, why don't you trust me? Like,
But
you
then
doubt?
that's just them dating someone they shouldn't have been dating. But again, that goes back to the
No, I'm saying is most people are not going to ask for a paternity test because in that time when they believe each other, they trust each other that baby is going to be theirs.
Right.
But what I'm saying is we're talking about body count. So I'm not
That's
saying
what I was saying. That doesn't really go with the body count thing.
no. I'm saying is I'm saying is it's something that men have to consider. That if you want to make sure the paternity that your baby is yours,
I don't.
if
think body
if
count
the woman has a
Yeah.
history,
And that's what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, I don't
that
think
I
body
don't
count
think
has
that
anything to
actually
do with
correlates.
babies.
It is emotional. When a man meets a woman and he finds out her body count, he
Yeah.
might have an emotional reaction to think and feel what you're feeling.
Yeah.
But he could also be logical and date her, and if none of those things are happening, and I know this is really easy to say man and woman, but maybe we should take out the gender to make this easier.
no,
Two people are dating and one of them have a higher body count and the one person's concerned
Yeah.
about the baby
Yeah.
being theirs or not. Right there, this is when I was talking about that honesty moment. Maybe you weren't being fully honest with yourself about like if you could date that person or not and have a full open heart for them to be who they really are and love them the way they are, because now all of a sudden they're pregnant and you're looking at them different.
Mhm.
That's
No.
kind of how I feel like what you're saying. The scenario changed the moment she was pregnant. You never really believed it because of body count. You could just not date them and both move your own way. But that still would be an emotional thing that you would be just choosing off of your personal experience or your cultural
no,
beliefs.
yeah,
But I wouldn't say that there's no way I would say, I'm sorry, that a body count would have any direct logical correlation with a man being able to say that's definitely gonna be my baby or not.
Right.
Because she could say, for one, again, like I said, you might not even really know the body count. So she could say 3,
Yeah.
and then you're like, I know it's my baby. That sounds weird, right?
No.
But it might not be your baby.
no. What I'm saying is
But I
from
think
a
that as
from
a
a
man, I would logically always be concerned.
That's-
And I'm not a man, right? But I would always be like, dang, is that my? I would always
no,
wonder.
but that's why
as a
body
man.
count. That's why.
Always.
But
Body
that's what.
count
But
low
that's
or high.
but that's why on that clip, that man did mention it does matter for men. He said statistically based on the research, the men were more conservative body count more than the women.
that's what
But I'm
it wouldn't be
explaining.
the body count that would make me worry. It would be that women have the opportunity to become pregnant by someone else.
No,
So it is just a constant worry that's already there.
no, but
And the body
but
count increasing that's like an emotional response.
no,
Yes,
yeah. I mean, your opinion is emotional response, but like I said, from the men's perspective, it's not emotional response. We understand that if we're going to raise a baby, we're going to be for most guys, we understand that the obligation that to raise that baby is a financial investment that we have to provide financially for this baby. We just want to make sure that if I'm going to raise this baby, I just want to make sure it's mine. And so that's why from a logical standpoint, like I said, if we meet a woman that has a track record, it's something that we have to consider.
I think the logical part is the reason you don't want that to be true. So the finances was why you don't want it to be true. But the fact that you're considering it is emotional.
It's not
from
emotional.
my perspective.
Yeah.
Because it is you saying, I'm concerned, I'm worried. I'm worried. Worry is an emotion.
Yeah.
It's not a financial burden, right? That is the outcome of your worry would be the financial burden.
Yeah.
But your worry, that's emotional.
No, I don't think it's emotional. I mean, if you guys mentioned before in
It's
the
a-
no,
yeah.
in the, like in
I
the
think both perspectives.
in
are
the
great,
in the
though.
beginning of on the podcast, you guys all mentioned about if you happen to meet a guy that always had abusive or mistreated their woman, right? If they always mistreated their women, if they're always abusive, if they beat their woman, but all of a sudden he meets you, and all of a sudden he says, you know what, I'm not that same man I did with all these other women, but I'm gonna be different with you. So if that woman says, you know what, I don't trust you, your response would be, no, that's an emotional response. You're emotionally just judging me right now, but that's not an emotional response. It's a logical response because he saw his past behavior, that all the women that he had a relationship with, he abused, he mistreated, and he cheated, and he beat them. But all of a sudden, you're going to be the one that he's going to change miraculously. So the same thing with the men. It's not an emotional response. It's very logical. We saw a pattern of behavior of women, of you having casual sex with all these men, and there was no commitment, there was no relationship. And all of a sudden, you meet me, and then you want to be. I'm going to be the one that's going to be the committed guy when you never show that type of behavior with any other men. I just have to trust your word on that. So that's from a logical standpoint, it's something that we have to consider.
I feel like those two things are a little bit
Well,
different.
that's fine. That's
because
fine.
there's no baby produced from the casual sex. So like you were saying, the guy, you know that he beat her, you know this, you know that, you know this.
Yeah.
But when we're talking about the body count, it is a more of an unknown situation. So that's what
No.
makes it so different.
No,
Like,
no,
if
no.
if we knew all those things about that person for sure,
Yeah.
that is making a logical good judgment decision.
Yeah.
But what you're saying that there isn't any for sure thing.
Well,
That's-
the clip
it's-
from the clip in the beginning, right? The guy that we watched in the beginning, his name is Trip from that. He said to you, that's what he's talking about. If all your relationships in the past have never worked out, if all your relationships in the past, because we understand, let's keep it 100. Everybody's having sex in their relationships.
Mhm.
Let's keep it. We live in a sexual culture today. So if you're a woman that's never been in a long-term committed relationship, and we all understand that you're having sex with all of these men, and they never step up, they never commit to you, you never commit to them, and then you finally meet this woman, and you're going to be the guy that she's going to commit to, and she wants to have babies with. It's like I say, it's something that we have to consider because as men,
That's fine.
because the one thing about women that you will never have, the one thing women would never have to deal with, it's a fear that men have to deal with is, as women, when you have children, you're always going to raise children that's biologically yours. Because when it comes out of you, you know it's your child. As men, we don't know. So that's why there's a whole, I think 20% of men, I think there's a statistic out there that said 30% of men who pay child support found out later that their kids that were paying child support for biologically was not theirs. Right. So that's what I'm saying is that's something that you never, as women,
That's crazy.
you will never have to worry about raising kids that's not your own because it comes out of you. As men, it's something that's something that we have to deal with because we have to trust our woman because a woman lies to us. There's a lot of men out there with 20% of 150 million. That's probably like 30 million men out there right now are raising kids that it's not theirs.
They should just do DNA tests on every baby that's born.
Yeah.
I really
was
solve
just
that.
about to say, and at the same time, everything you said, I still agree, but I can't stop saying that it is it's not logical. It's very emotional to hear someone's body count and then
No,
think
yeah.
that the baby might not be yours.
No,
That-
I get-
it almost sounds. In fact, the numbers you just said, it almost sounds traumatic.
No, I
It
get
almost
it.
sounds
But what I'm
traumatic
saying
for
is, no,
men.
I get it because, like I
It
said,
sounds
you
traumatic.
will never have to worry about raising a kid that's not yours because you
Right,
know
but
that your
that's
child is
trauma.
yours.
Like what you're saying, that is literally like trauma.
Yeah.
You
That's-
guys
no,
are
no, that-
traumatized almost
No.
by hearing that. Like even that, I got a little traumatized hearing that statistic just now. 30% of men.
No,
I
what
feel
I'm saying
that
is
was-
it's not trauma, it's mitigating the risk. So one of the risks of being with somebody that has a high body count, the baby might not be yours. So that's something we have to consider. So it's not a trauma response. We just want to mitigate the risk. What is the risk? Baby might not be yours. Or there's another woman out there that she's a virgin, or maybe she has low sexual experience. She doesn't have a lot of partners. So that's an option for me to have to consider. Do you go with the girl that has a track record of being with casual guys that never had a committed relationship? Or there's a girl out there that she's religious, she's a virgin, or she has a low sexual experience. So you have to consider your options. So for us, we understand that we don't want to put ourselves in a position of raising children that's on our own. So if I had two women, they're both lovely women, but one has a track record of a high body count, and one woman doesn't have a track record. From a logical standpoint, you would go with the girl that has a lower body count. You want to say something, Shelby? Go ahead. And then also Damon's jumping on. He's one of my members of my locals. He wants to jump on to be part of this conversation.
I kind of forgot.
What's up, Damien?
The train went away.
What's up, y'all? Hey, panel.
Good to
Hello.
see you. Good to see you, Damien.
What's up, brother?
All right. Thank you for jumping on as a guest.
No, always.
You just happened to talk about jump on where we're talking about body count.
Yeah. This is a topic I seem to talk on either on my podcast or anytime I'm a guest on anybody else's podcast. It comes up a lot or what have you, and it's really, I think, kind of simple. Men and women look at previous history very differently. Women look at the quality of women that the person that they're with is dated. If you were dating bus station skanks and she's with you, she's gonna be like, what is wrong with me that what's up with that? I am cool with this dude who every chick has been a bus station like skank before me. Or if every woman he was with has been on the cover of Vogue, he'd be like, well, maybe I don't measure up to all these women he's been a cover of Vogue. So I think that's what gives women pause, or gives them kind of an insecure feeling when it comes to the person that they're dating. And I'm gonna tell you why it's different for men. Men about quantity, and here's why men were quantity. It is in line with everything we're saying, what the guy was saying. But another thing is that a man who's on his purpose don't want any woman who's still attached to any type of reckless behavior, like in sleeping with a bunch of people and whatever, and just going out and willy-nilly promiscuity is reckless behavior because it's unsafe. It can be damage you emotionally and things like that. So I think a man who's really trying to make things happen is like, I can't have any recklessness that can kind of derail what I'm trying to build for us. And so for example, like the reason it's not why it's not like the specific number. Like people say, what's a number that's too high? What number is too low? Is it 20? Is it 30? Is it 40? That's too high. I think what it is like, it's the behavior attached to why you're doing it. Like, for example, if you say, what's a low body count? You go to a woman and say, well, how many people you slept with? Oh, I slept with 4 people. Oh, okay, that's cool. But I slept with them all in one day. See, that's not so cool. It's the behavior that people all.
Damn, that's a crazy.
It's the behavior that people are associated with the recklessness.
Just
you know. So, and I think that's what men want to know, because they need to know that you have divested yourself from reckless behavior, especially if they're a man on their purpose. And it's like, okay, I have a life that I need to build, especially if he wants to be the leader and he wants to be somebody you feel comfortable following behind. He needs to know that there's not going to be anything that's going to possibly derail him from the vision of or the execution of the plan that you guys have developed together for you guys' future. And one of the things has to be, you have to make sure that you know that unfettered promiscuity is detrimental to a man. Feel like, okay, why would I be sitting up there investing all my time, resources, energy, and try to build something for her if there's still a possibility that she can be still associated with anything reckless, like promiscuity, drug use, any type of abuse or anything like that? Those are the things. That's why it can be such a detrimental thing to a lot of guys' mind. And I think somebody might have said it. It's like, and because women always have access to sex. Always. There's not a time where somebody won't fuck you. That's just the way it is, So if you are still attached to reckless behavior and reckless thinking, you might get into an argument with your man, go hang out with your ex-man and end up smashing. Those are the things that men got to consider if you're still attached. And don't get me wrong, I don't feel you should be judging people or labeling people from their past, because I've gotten a lot of grace and second chances in relationships. But I think what it is the person needs to have divested and every the longer time from that reckless behavior to who they are now if they're done with that stuff. And they have to show the evidence that they're done. And how do you show the evidence that you're done with reckless behavior? Number one, the easiest indicator is the people you hang out with. If you hang around with a bunch of people, if I'm saying, okay, I'm done, if I was a cheater in the past and say I'm done with cheating and all my boys still cheat, it's still part of the energy that's around you, the vibe that's around you. If you're saying, I'm done being overtly sexual or promiscuous, but your Instagram is everything sexual and showing off your half naked self every single time you go into the club, you hanging around with girls who talk shit about men, but they also smash a bunch of men, that's the kind of stuff that shows that you're not divested into it. I know a girl, and I always used to say that she will never she's cool with it, whatever. But I knew a girl who was very promiscuous as actual stripper in the club, doing extras for money and what have you like that. She completely stepped away from that for 10 years. Then she started dating. Now she's an IT specialist, and this is not her real job. So any of my friends she's done something like an IT specialist in Seattle. And she's been married for 12 years and she's got kids and stuff like that. You would be if somebody said, oh, she used to be a stripper, you'd be like, her? Because she just so divested from that. I think the things that needs to happen is that there needs to be a significant amount of time where you've done the work to show you aren't attached to reckless behavior. Just like how men, if you were a cheater, if you were abuser, if you what have you, there needs to be a significant amount of time between the last time you did anything reckless or abusive to show that you may have actually learned from it.
Yeah.
So
Okay. I just want to pass it back to you guys. Anything want to respond to what Damon said?
No, I don't disagree with anything that you're saying, but I still feel like a lot of it is emotional. And and going back to like, you know, and these are words that can get used, so it's whatever. But you used the word insecure when you were describing women on the woman side of not wanting the gentleman at the bus station. Sure, there's some logical reasons why we don't want them, but you were able to acknowledge the insecurity. And so I feel like it goes both ways. There's some logical reasons why men can take in consideration the body count, but they can't ignore that feminine side, that emotional side that is also a part of it too, that they need to work on, because clearly it's emotional if a girl can go from one thing, like you said, all the way to in Seattle doing her thing and living her life. We have to consider that it can't all be logical, because if it's totally logical, then that could never happen. If it was just dun, 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 then that could never happen. The body count would just grow. The logic would, the numbers would be numbering and the math would math. But since there's also the emotional side of it too, that's why there's that logical side where maybe the numbers number most of the time. But that emotional side is what makes it for her. She was like, no, I'm not going to do that anymore. And I did want to like go into, I was someone who was only in long-term relationships for most of my life, long-term drawn out relationships. And when I was talking about earlier about that thing missing, right? So they low body counts, Christian men, you know, all those things were in line, but maybe there was one thing missing. When I finally got out of the second long-term relationship I was in, I decided, let me chill on trying to just be in a relationship. If someone was to judge me on this 2 years of my life, after my whole life, I didn't get to look at anything else, trying to, you know, even check to see what was interesting to me. And they were like, oh, these, that would be so bad for that person, because they would miss out on so much if they were so concerned about body count. But I'm not saying they can't be, but that would be their emotional response to it.
But the thing that you would want them to judge you on is the work that you've done.
I'm sorry, but I wasn't.
Oh, my bad. You slow down for a minute so I you stop.
That's okay. So I would just feel like that would be their first response, would be emotional, like, dang, I'm, you know, that dang, you know, like when they go, dang. But then their logical side can kick in and they could be like, let me see how she's behaving, right? Let me see if that behavior is in the past. That's that logic kicking in. That's that masculine side going, let me watch, because I'm a man of my word. Let me see how she's actually acting. Because if she's acting like that thing that she's already shared with me, then that's going to be a problem. So I feel like the first thing, like most humans, we're emotional. Then we could take, when we've done some work, we can step back and we could be logical. And then we can mix the two to create that perfect thing that works out for us. But I don't think that it's fair to take away from the emotional response of it that men are having from the body count. I think it's okay to acknowledge both sides of it, just like we got to acknowledge both our masculine and feminine energies as humans.
Go ahead, Damon. Real quick. We'll go back to the ladies. Go ahead.
Yeah. I think it is. It's like insecurities can be bred through can be fostered through logic as well. It's like, it's logical to think that if my wife is posting half naked pictures and I take her to a business function and the women, the other wives are saying, hey, you know, let's all connect Instagram, and you give me Instagram and they show you half naked, that I'm going to be viewed a different way, which could impact how I'm perceived in a business setting. You know, that has happened. That can happen. All I'm saying is just like, it's not all men. There'd be a lot more dead people on the planet if men were emotional first and logical second. Men are logical first, emotional second. That's just the way we're wired.
I'm sorry, emotional.
Okay.
No, I'm saying that's just how men are wired. That's they've done studies on the male brain. The logic base are the ones that we try to connect with first, and then emotion after. We try to make the logical decision, but it can. That's something, because our emotions aren't as in check, and we're not in tune with our emotion as women are. Women grow up talking about their emotion, expressing their emotion, emoting and crying and sharing their emotion. Men are designed to think logically when it comes to situations first, because if there wasn't, there'd be a lot more people getting killed in the world than there are if men had went out and led with their emotions first, because we don't regulate emotions as well as women.
Yeah, and then from that clip that the guy was sharing on that clip, he said that one of the reasons why a lot of the women and also the men as well, but he was talking specifically about the women, that oftentimes when women have a higher body count, it's harder for them. It's called pair bonding, to pair bond with their men, because when you have sex, you guys have hormones release that bonds it with the man that you really, really love. So oftentimes when women tend to have more sexual partners, it's hard for them to bond with that man. So that's why for a lot of women is when you have multiple sexual partners, it's going to be hard for you to really commit to one guy because you have so many options. You've tried a lot of men, and if there's there's a lot of men out there that there's this thread of men that talked about the things that they have struggled with their women, dating women who have a high body count. Is if you have been with a guy that's really, really good sexually, you guys are very compatible sexually, right? And you guys have good sex, but the only thing that was lacking with him was the commitment, right? He wasn't a good parent, wasn't a good father, he didn't want children. Then you finally go with a guy that has all those other qualities, but he's not as sexually compatible compared to all the other men that you've been with. For a lot of women, it's really, really hard. Even the guy's a good guy and you guys are in a good relationship, a lot of women would cheat on that guy because they're not sexually compatible because she had a lot of sexual experience. So for guys, we kind of have a kind of understanding that is, if I'm going to be having sex with the girl, how do I really know if I have sex with her that we're going to be compatible, but also we're going to bond with each other and be committed? Because if I'm not as good as all the other guys she had sex with, even though I'm going to be a good person to her and treat her well, a lot of women will leave because this sexual compatibility is not there because she has so much experience. And that was one of the things that guy was talking about.
I think that comes down to trust.
Yeah.
100%.
Yeah.
That's what one of the core values of any relationship is, trust.
Yeah.
In the other person. I like to go into my relationships having full trust in that person.
Yeah.
And then if it dissolves, then I can decide if I'm going to give them a second chance or if it's time to move on,
Yeah.
etc. But trust.
Yeah.
You know.
And like I said, this is we talked about before. It's just something that men have to consider because a lot of men have been with women and say, they have the conversation and the woman says, I trust you. I don't want to be with any other guy. You're going to be my last one.
Yeah,
Okay.
you can say it
Yeah. But like I said, it's something that we have to consider because we know, like, if you have a track record of all these other men and you're going to be with the next guy, how do I know that, if I'm going to be, because at the end of the day, as men, one of the things we do want to pleasure you. Like, we want to be the man to have sex with you and pleasure you. But if you have a lot of experience and it's not enough, even if that guy's committed to you and giving you that relationship, a lot of women will leave that good relationship and go back to the guy that has the sexual compatibility but is mistreating her. So it's one of the things that just the men have to consider. But also the last question I just want to ask, because we have to conclude, we have to end it. Because like I mentioned before, promiscuity is I don't believe it's good for both men and women, especially if you're looking for a monogamous relationship. Can we all agree on this panel that sexual discipline is important for loyalty, faithful, and committed relationship?
Absolutely.
Right? Yeah.
Mhm.
Can we all agree with that?
I mean,
If you're looking for
monogamy.
Yeah, monogamy, right? If you're looking for monogamous, yeah.
Monogamy.
So if you're looking for a monogamous relationship, sexual discipline is important for both the man and the woman, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah. So as when it comes to discipline, and whatever it's health, whatever it's sex, whatever it's your financial job, it's something that you have to practice. That's why when you call people who are disciplined, it's people who've practiced a certain behavior over and over and over, and they commit to that same behavior for long periods of time. That's why I said it's my issue for both men and women, and also that guy was talking about it before. If the woman and the guy has a history, has a lack of sexual discipline because they've had sex with all these multiple partners and they never had the discipline to reject sex because that's what they do, how are you going to expect that person to be monogamous when they never practice that behavior? They don't have that discipline. And that's where the logical sense comes to me is, if I meet a good woman and she's great to me, but she has a history of promiscuity and she has multiple sexual partners, every single guy she comes across, she just says yes. She doesn't vet these guys out. She doesn't make sure that these guys approve of themselves to be good men. She just gives it up, right? The thing is, for me, is because I understand we're all creatures of habit, right? You don't build discipline in one day. Discipline is something that you have to practice for a long period of time, and that's all aspects of your life: financial, health, sexual, relationships. So because I understand how discipline works, because I am very disciplined myself, when somebody tells me that they're going to be disciplined sexually to me and they're going to be monogamous to me, and they've never shown that in their dating history, that's how that for me, I have, from a logical perspective, I can't trust that person.
Different than body count, because I just explained that their dating history isn't the same as their body count.
Well, the thing is, if you're having casual sex with multiple partners, right?
But their dating history and their body count aren't gonna always.
Well,
be the same thing.
Promiscuity means you're having a lot of sex, right? Can we all agree with that definition of promiscuity for both men and women?
Right, but then you said that they're just having sex with just any. They never said no, but that might not be the case, and the girl still might have a high body count, and she might also have been in very successful relationships too.
Yeah.
So are you taking into consider all the relationships, or are we
Yeah.
just talking about body
No,
count?
so for me, is if a woman said they've been with 4 guys, right? But maybe those 4 guys has been into from 4 guys
You know what?
from long periods of relationships.
I'm sorry. Well, let's let it die. I want to let it die. I think it's the word body count that I feel like it has to be interchanged rather than being just focused on as like that. Like, you know, I just think that I think that I don't want to, you know, mess up what you're trying to say with
No,
the body count thing. 'Cause
no.
I just feel like it changed just now when you said their history, but then I just explained history that wasn't just about body count, that it was diverse. But that's not the same. Someone's history and their body count aren't the exact same.
Yeah. So I mean, a body count is how many sexual partners you have, right?
Right. But
Yeah.
then you just talked about their dating history.
That is part of their history.
Right. But is it their whole history? Or are you only focusing on the body count?
No,
The-
we changed topics.
No, we're talking about body count for me is how many sexual partners they have, right? Whether they're in a relationship or not in a relationship,
Right.
right? So you can say I have 10 sexual partners, 10 relationships, 10 sexual partners, no relationships. For me, it doesn't matter. All right. So the thing is, for me is, if you have a history of being in relationships that fail with men that constantly have sex with you, but they don't stick around, or you don't, for some reason the relationship doesn't work, then for me is like, how do I really know that we're going to be compatible and you can be sexually disciplined to me when you have a history of having sex with this guy, it doesn't work out, you bounce from him, going to sex with this guy, and like I said, this is both for men and women.
I like
Right.
that you touched on that a lot, and that you say for men and women, because I feel like there's a lot of like male podcasts that I watch where they're
Yeah.
like only like trying to shame women for like
That's what I'm saying.
experimenting or being sexual, but then they're like, oh, but I'm a man, so this is
No,
what
I
I
don't-
do.
I don't
Like
agree with
I'm
that.
like, I hate stuff like that. Like if promiscuity is wrong, if having a high body count is wrong, then it should be wrong for
Both men and women,
genders.
agree.
Like because I feel like that's just a way to like shame women. Like it should be the same.
The
Like
same, yeah.
I really feel
No, there's
So
a
I
lot.
like to
I disagree
touch
with
on
that
that a lot.
because, like I mentioned to you guys before, if you want a family, if you want a monogamous relationship, if you want to be a great parents, right? That means it's going to be between you and that person. That's why for me is you want your man to be faithful, and then you want your woman to be faithful.
Mhm.
So the thing is, you need both of you guys to be sexually disciplined. And that for me, people who have sexual discipline, they don't just have sex with anybody. They're very selective of the people that they invest their time and energy, especially their body, right? So they have high standards. So that's something you have to consider. For me, if I meet somebody that has a high body count, it's something I have to consider. Okay, they don't show the discipline and behaviors for a long-term relationship, but then I meet somebody else who's very selective. They're very picky of who they choose to have sex with because they're looking for something more than sex, which is something I'm looking for a long-term relationship. And then the last thing I just want to bring up, because like I mentioned before, it goes both ways. I don't agree with the guys online shaming women. It's okay for a man to do it, but for the women to do it. But then the guy just proven statistics, it's not good for both men and women.
Yeah.
But the last thing for me is if we're going to build a family, right?
Mhm.
I believe it's if we're going to build a family, then we should build our family on things that we want to make sure that we exemplify to our kids. So for me is I don't want my daughter to be promiscuous, right? That's why for me, I'm sexually disciplined because I want to be the embodiment of the type of man that she's going to marry and the type of man she's going to date. So that's my values as a man. So if I don't want my daughter to be promiscuous, I want her to find a good man, a loving man that's going to be committed to her. And my problem with the people who who believe in promiscuity, if I ask them the same question, would you be okay with your children to be promiscuous? Would you want your sons to be promiscuous, having unsafe sex and potentially creating children with women that have multiple baby mamas and baby daddies, or the same thing with women.
I think most people would prefer somebody who is more selective versus
Yeah.
more promiscuous. I think most people would prefer that.
Yeah, so I'm saying it's not good for both women, both men and women. It's not good for the family. It's not good for children. Children need a two-parent household to give them the best quality of life and to be healthy.
Absolutely.
So what I'm saying is promiscuity is bad for not only from your own relationship, from a family component, from a societal component. It's not good for society in general, and that's why I'm saying is it does matter for both men and women. We have our different reasons, but for men, it's more something that we consider more.
Well, can I say something real quick?
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, like homeboy in the clip touched on something that's very, very important. People who don't have in line sexual history, let's not call it dating, let's say sexual histories, are usually incompatible and they don't make good partners when it comes to relationship. You know, if somebody has a male who has an extremely high body count, who claiming that he wants a woman that has like one or two, he will never be happy with that person that has one or two, because he'll get the person that has one or two, but he wants the sexual experience of the woman that has the 30, 40, 50. And then what will happen is he will be unfaithful to the person that has one or two, because he wants the person that's already does all the stuff and open to all the stuff that he's been accustomed to and he enjoys. Even if a guy is like saying, you know, oh, she's open and she's willing to learn. Most dudes don't have the patience to teach a woman all the stuff, you know, do all the things, you know. So I think what it is when he touched on, I think it's when you have kind of not necessarily the same number, but the same mentality when it came to your sexual history. Like if you understand why you were doing this, you understand that you needed to pull back, you were open and experimented and stuff like that, and it works. That works better if you're going to have, like, if people are going to have, I think people who have low body counts should stick with people who have low body counts. They can learn all the shit together and nobody is sitting up there. But the people who have higher body counts, they should stay with people who have higher body counts, because they're going to want something that's hot and ready. They ain't going to want to, you know, they ain't going to want to like teach somebody some shit. You know, if there's some crazy, freaky shit you like, you're going to want somebody who probably done it and can take it further than you want it. You know, that they're used to or what have you. I think that's very important. I think guys, I don't like it either. Like what you said, when guys are on talking about, oh, women low body count, and like, well, how many women have you slept with? Oh, I've got 100. Like, you never gonna be happy with the chick that got 2. You know, and I think, but it's the exact same way. The woman who has the high body count will never be happy with the guy that has like 1 or 2. It just won't happen. You know, because the expectation is even higher. The burden of performance is even higher on the men, because they're going to know what great sex is, and they ain't gonna have time. Women aren't willing to, just as they say men aren't willing to step back, women aren't willing to step back sexually when it comes to a lot of things. You know, they can probably, if the dude is like phenomenal in 50 other places, they can probably like fake the funk for a little while, but the same thing, they're gonna want somebody who's more in line with their sexual appetites, as opposed to somebody who's new. But if you are looking for somebody who has a low body count, you need to prioritize, like Will said, prioritize maintaining a low body count and be selective or what have you. Because the people who have like 30, 40, you know, I know, because I have a high body count, and it's just like, there's a couple of them that slipped in there that I was like, what the fuck was I thinking? You know, and you don't want that. And I think that could happen more for women more for men than women.
All right, Dame, thank you so much. We're gonna close. We're gonna close the pod, but thank you for jumping on. I do appreciate you for jumping on the pod as a virtual guest to add on to the conversation. All right, so
Have a good night, Damien.
thank you, Dame.
All right, y'all take it easy.
Appreciate you, Dame. And then last one from Phil. Fornication is a sin, period. Also, a woman sleeping with a lot of men is much more worse than a man, any way you look at it. Master key versus crabby lock. Phil, I do appreciate you for being on the pod, but like I said, that's something I would disagree with. I think it's bad for both.
That's an opinion. Like, if you feel like it's worse for a woman to sleep around than a man, that's really just your opinion. Like, some people feel like having a lot of sex, regardless of the gender, is negative.
No, it's also just rooted in misogyny right there.
Yeah.
So.
And also, if you think that a guy with high body count means that he's good at it, that's also a false. I just want to throw that out there.
If it's wrong, it should be wrong. It shouldn't matter if a woman or a man does it. If it's wrong, it's wrong.
Yeah.
I mean, like I disagree with that, Phil, because the thing is, for me, is if our, like I said, I'm really big into making sure that we have a good society and making sure that the next generation and the next generation of kids are better. I think I think I think when you guys have when we all have kids one day, I think when we have kids, we always want the best for our kids. Like we want to give them the best, and I think that's also one of the moral obligations as parents. We have children, like we want to like. I've had my tough life, but one of the things I want to do, I don't want my kids to have the same tough life I do. I want to give them a better life than I had. And I think we understand that the promiscuity for both men and women, there's a lot of risk. If a guy's out there being promiscuous and having unsafe sex, he's going to create a lot of baby mamas, right?
And then pass STDs to the women who are innocent that eventually give him a chance.
Or STDs, right? And we don't want that. And also for the girls who are going out there and having promiscuous sex.
Seriously,
you might end up
bad
being
for
a baby
the community either way you put it, you know?
Yeah.
I don't feel like biological differences like make that right or wrong.
Yeah.
It sounds like an excuse to shame women when they do something that you're saying is okay for a man. If you ask me, but that's just my opinion.
No, I know. I totally agree with that. That's
I feel like everybody's entitled to their opinion. If you feel like it's worse for this gender, it's like that's gonna make no difference to me. Like I feel like either way, whether it's a man or a woman, it's still like kind of wrong.
No, my biggest issue is when both men and women they say, it's good, it's okay for this person to do it, but not good for this person to do it. But at the same time, we always complain of like, how come society is breaking down as a family unit? The thing is, we can't encourage behavior that we know that leads to broken families. So you got to pick a lane. So the thing is, if you're for strong, healthy relationships and marriage and families, then you have to align yourself and do the things that we all believe is to be true. Is be selective and find one good person. Don't go out there have unsafe sex because there's a lot of risk involved for both the men and women, and that goes both ways. So for the people out there saying the women, it's okay for the men, but then it's okay, but the women can't do it. These are the same guys that talk about the problems of society. Well, you're
kind of hypocritical.
Yeah, you're contributing to the very thing that we're discussing. So that's why I disagree with. So,
but to each his own. I'm not here to convince anybody. Or let everybody have their own opinion.
All right, but ladies, I want to pass it back to you guys. Thank you so much for coming to the end. And last super chat from Phil said both should be virgins, but women can have sex. Easy. Okay. I do agree. It's easy for you guys to have sex.
You guys in the chat made it very clear who you guys feel like is in control of sex.
All right. But like I said, I do agree. Ladies, thank you so much. Shout out to the ladies one more time.
Thank you.
Appreciate you guys. Thank you for the open discussions. Whether we agree or disagree, I appreciate the opinions and the perspectives. Whether we agree or disagree, like I said, there's a lot of things that we see online, we see with society when it comes to relationships, and I think it's good to have these open discussions to find some common ground on the things that we have issue with, and to at least bring people together. We can figure out so people can come together and build families, because the solution isn't complaining. So the guys out there just shaming women for all their problems, I don't agree with you. And then the women out there shaming all men for their problems, I don't agree with you either.
We're all in this together. We gotta stop dissing each other, lift each other up.
Yeah, exactly.
Love and kindness.
No, here's my biggest pet peeve with a lot of guys shaming women about their body count. And this is my experience. The guys who I know who are good men, good values, they don't really care about the body count, because usually the way they move, they attract quality women. The guys that I know personally that always talk shit about the woman's body count, it's the same guys that chase after that woman.
It's hard to find a man with a low body count. So that's what the audacity is at an all-time high, because most of the people saying something is like, you know how hard it is to find a man who's only slept with like 3 girls?
Look,
that would be
all the guys I know that talk shit about the body count of the women, these are the same guys liking all these girls' pics on Instagram. These guys, same guys.
Yeah, y'all hate the half-naked girls, but y'all be fucking them.
Liking their pictures,
following
them, right?
It's a lot of hypocrisy.
So that's what I'm saying. That's for me. That's why I see the hypocrisy. Like they'll complain about the body count, but they're following all these girls online. They're liking all they're DMing, hey, what's up, baby? They'll cash app them.
In the day, it's hard to find a guy with a low body count.
Yeah. So for me, that's what I'm saying.
I feel like it is hard to find a guy in the bay with a low body count, but I don't know. I've only lived here, so I don't really know what like the average body count is outside here.
He's from Buffalo, and he's chilling in the lower, and sometimes that's what I was saying earlier, the demographics.
Yeah, I feel like most men that try to talk to me have at least slept with 10 women, at least.
See, I feel like out here it's like a vibe.
All right. But ladies, pass it back to you guys. Thank you so much for making the time. Thank you for the open conversations. I want to give a shout out to Liz. Liz,
thanks.
I always appreciate the different perspective of the discussion, whether we agree or disagree. I appreciate that about you. Yeah. Thank you so much. I'll pass it back to you guys. Final thoughts from tonight's conversation. What's your takeaway from it, and how can they find you? All right. So I'll start with you, Liz. We'll go down that way.
My takeaway from the main subject, which was the main subject? Because I feel like we tangent. What was
Oh,
it?
dating
well,
history
what?
matter?
Yeah. What is? Yeah. What's your takeaway from
Yeah, I
tonight's
think that
conversation?
I think that it does 100%. I think that it matters emotionally, it matters physically. I think we touched on all bases. Culturally, maybe we didn't talk about that as much, but yeah, I think it matters a lot for so many different reasons. 100%.
Okay. Thank you so much. I appreciate you. Pass it to you. Okay. Final thoughts, and how can they find you?
I feel like it is important to consider somebody's past when you're dating them, but it's not the most important thing, but it's something to consider to an extent. And my Instagram is FunSizeK. You can find me on there. I also have a YouTube page for my music.
All right. Thank you so much. All right. Appreciate it. All right. I pass it to you. Final thoughts. Thank you so much coming, Shelby. How can they find you?
I definitely think it matters to an extent. It's definitely not everything like Kay said, but it needs to be talked about at a certain point. There's a healthy point in the relationship to talk about, and it's up to you guys to kind of decipher that and figure it out for yourselves. And then my Instagram is shelby.bernardo.
All right. Thank you so much, Shelby, and pass it to you. Thank you so much, Sam, for coming. Final thoughts, and how can they find you?
Yeah, I agree with all these lovely ladies just said. It matters to take into account into how you show up in the present and how your past may manifest in the future in a relationship. And you can find me on Instagram. My handle is Talking House, like a house that's talking.
Yeah. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. And I was gonna say one last thing because I know that a lot of the guys are pushing back against me, but one of the things I always talk about to fellas, because if you want, for me, you guys all mentioned you want masculine men, right?
Mhm.
Masculinity.
Yes.
You want masculine men. So my definition of a masculine man, is a man that's accountable, resilient, and disciplined.
Accountable. I like that word for it.
All right.
Mhm.
So that's why for me, for all the guys out there, whether you agree, whether you disagree,
Myself to that too, though.
okay.
Yeah.
Those
I-
same things.
yeah, I kinda-
Accountability, resilience.
Yeah.
Mhm.
I would definitely
And
hold myself to those.
For the guys that disagree with me is, for me, for all the fellas that's watching this right now, if your ultimate goal is family, if your ultimate goal is a monogamous relationship, a healthy relationship, a committed relationship, then you have to be accountable to make sure that your choices in your life as a man is aligned with the goal and the outcome that you want. So if you're saying here that it's okay for men to be promiscuous, but at the same time you're telling me you want to commit a long-term relationship and you want to attract a woman that's like that, for me, I see hypocrisy in that, because for me, that's not aligned with the outcome you want. So for me, everything I do in my life is accountable to the things I'm looking for, whether it's my financial goals, whether it's my relationships. And I think part of masculinity is being accountable to that. For me, when I see you guys complaining about women and men and the relationships, but none of their decisions and their disciplines and their body of work in their life matches up with what they want, for me, that's not masculine.
Yeah.
For me, that's not accountability for me. So regardless of whether you disagree on me on the chat on the men, I'm just saying is just be accountable in your life. Whatever you want in your life, be accountable. And if you're not accountable for the things that you want, especially when it comes to women, when the same women you complain about, you're messing with them and you're trying to shame them, but you're the ones trying to have sex with these very same women, that is not accountability to me, and that is not masculine to me.
Yeah.
So I just wanted to say that for all the guys out there. But at the end of the day, I do appreciate you guys. Whether you guys agree or disagree, thank you, ladies, for making the time to be part of the podcast. But you guys have a great night. Don't forget to support all these ladies.
Thank
And
you,
we
guys.
do this every Saturday. We have a new topic, a new panel for you guys. Appreciate you guys, and see you guys next time. Peace, y'all.